on the prairies, it gets no better than a meeting of Saskatchewan and Winnipeg. It's fall and time for Blaze Bryant to recapture the Bombers' rushing glory. Kent Austin's a warrior who longs for the success he had when he called Taylor Field home. Greg Clark leads the swarming Winnipeg linebackers whose trademark is blitz. In Regina, defenses reign supreme. LeBrant Robinson heads the class of Green Riders who tried to take up the slack. Greg battles a former Bomber with new life in Regina. And so is Robert Mims, who's once again hit his stride for the Riders, who have the intangible Rider pride on their side. Farmers are working on the biggest harvest of all time here on the prairies. They're still trying to get the crop in, but tonight Taylor Field in Regina is the place to be as the Bombers and the Green Riders renew their rivalry in a game with playoff implications. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Regina and to the CFL on CBC. I'm Scott Oak. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have not won a game since Labor Day when they soundly beat the Bombers here, so the Bombers are bent on redemption. The Riders have to win for the first time in 4 weeks if they're to keep their already flickering playoff hopes alive. It's against that backdrop that these prairie rivals clash tonight. Kent Austin gets the start for the Bombers, his second straight. He's the first to admit the Bomber offense has been less than impressive, but he's buoyed by the fact the Bombers had the same receiving core in 2 weeks running for the first time this season. It's awfully tough for the Bombers to win at Taylor Field, and James Curry knows all about that from his days as a Green Rider. He and Chris Cuthbert will describe the proceedings tonight. James, what do you make of the fact that in their last 11 trips to Taylor Field, the Bombers are 3-8, and yet they consistently finish ahead of the Riders in the standings?
Well, it's been one of the best rivalries in the CFL out here on the prairies, but this is a game that Saskatchewan desperately needs. They've struggled offensively with young quarterbacks and young offensive linemen, but Donald Narcisse, the most consistent receiver in CFL history, has only been averaging 1 catch over the past 2 ball games. They need to get him the football and spread it around.
Running game is the big story in Winnipeg, James. The Bombers longing for the old days when they used to dominate in that department, and hope Blaze Bryant can come up with the numbers that he had in 1994. That's been the focus for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but it's a tough job against Saskatchewan because they're the #2 defense against the rush in the CFL.
Well, Chris, you're absolutely right. The Bomber ground game used to be the envy of the rest of the Canadian Football League, and their chances of winning tonight would increase greatly if they could finally get it in gear. Coming up on the BF Goodrich TA halftime report from Taylor Field tonight as we speak, they're inducting the class of '96 into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in Hamilton. Ottawa linebacker Jerry Campbell's going in alongside our colleague Dan Kepley, a key member of the Eskimo Grey Cup dynasty. The two will join us from Hamilton. We'll attempt to get the truth out of them. It's cool tonight and damp. That's not good for farmers trying to get the crop in. Could make it a bit uncomfortable for fans here at Taylor Field trying to figure out if their team has what it takes. You can usually count on the wind being a factor in Regina. It will be tonight. Riders can't afford a loss, but neither can the Bombers, lest they fall below 500 and join the scramble for a playoff spot. Here are Chris and James.
Well, there is Cal Murphy, whose team has lost 3 of its last 4 games. And yet Cal still thinks his team has a chance to finish second in the West. Jim Daly, he knows that his team has a lot less margin for error. They have to beat Winnipeg in the last 2 games and also have to win a couple more along the way.
Well, Saskatchewan is looking at this as one of those do-and-die situations. If they don't win this afternoon and they control their own destiny from here on out, it's going to be very difficult the rest of the way.
Frank Jagus has kicked it off, and we are underway at Taylor Field. And a big hit to start this game off as Gulliford was slammed on the opening kickoff, so that sets an early tone as Kent Austin comes out to start at quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at just his second start back at Taylor Field since leaving the Saskatchewan Roughriders 3 years ago.
Well, this is a place where he really established himself as one of the better CFL quarterbacks. Now he wants to see if he can duplicate that feat for the Bombers.
First play call goes to Lytle, and Dean Lytle stopped up at the 35-yard line. Maybe a loss of 1. Great battle, the former Blue Bomber leading the surge. Here's the offensive line that hopes to get this running game on track, led by the 16-year veteran Chris Walby. They've spent a lot of time this week working on the running game, and it's nice to see Shannon Baker back in the lineup for Winnipeg after that horrendous shot he took from Trent Brown last week in Edmonton. And a flag goes down as a pass interference call. The intended receiver was Shannon Baker.
I think Aaron Ruffin jumped that route just a bit early, but that was a tenacious hit that Baker took, and it's good to see him back in the lineup. But this is a team that you're not going to run on.
Referee is George Black.
Saskatchewan has developed a very solid run defense.
Forward pass interference. Saskatchewan number 33. First down.
James, this happened last week. The first defensive series for Saskatchewan against BC. Well, the first 9 plays, there were 5 penalties and 8 missed assignments, and there was concern that maybe this defense was just trying to do too much.
Well, this is a defense that's been trying to cover for the offense, and they cannot afford to have defensive mistakes.
First down. There's Blaze Bryant, the slashing runner, tripped up by a former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, Tommy Smith, the linebacker. As we set Saskatchewan's defense for you, good veteran front four. Jurison, LeBryant, Robinson have had great years, and this defense has been a lot better since Greg Battle has been the middle linebacker. Vincent Donaldson, a 6-year veteran on the corner. Second down for Winnipeg. There's the pitch, and Bryant has it, and he'll be stopped short of the first down at the 53-yard line. We said they were tough to run against, and you've seen it in this opening series.
Well, the key to any great defense is that you have to have some good defensive tackles. You have to be able to keep the linemen off of your linebackers, and Tommy Smith and Greg Battle have had free runs in this first series at the running backs on the running plays.
It'll be 3rd and 3.
So it's 3rd down and 3. Austin goes to the sidelines, and Bob Cameron will check in.
This is a part of Saskatchewan's game that has struggled this season. Their return teams on punts. They have not been up to par what they expect. You'd like to average over 100 yards a game on returns. Saskatchewan has not done that this season.
Especially in the last 2 games. 2 punts were returned for touchdowns last week by Edmonton. 1 the week before by Hamilton. And this is Ruffin. And good coverage downfield by the Bombers on the first punt of the game. A 42-yarder by the veteran Bob Cameron, and just a 3-yard return.
Well, it's very critical now with Saskatchewan coming out for their first offensive series. They're going to get their 3rd starting quarterback of the season.
And this is a story. Jimmy Kemp is going to start this game. We had been told it would be Heath Rylance yesterday, but apparently Rylance is suffering with the flu, and we were alerted to that about an hour ago. They said Rylance would still start, but made the decision to change just prior to the opening kickoff. So Jimmy Kemp, his first start as a Saskatchewan Roughrider, and there is Robert Mims, the ball carrier, the former Blue Bomber, a 1,000-yard runner twice with Winnipeg, as Heath Rylance, at least at the outset of this game, looks on with the headset on.
Well, you know, this is a team that has struggled at the pivot position, and now with Kemp coming in, the offensive players have to get used to a whole new rhythm at quarterback. His timing, his setup position in the pocket, as well as his release.
2nd and 8, Saskatchewan. Working out of the shotgun, and Kemp scrambling to the right. K.D. Williams comes up with the tackle, as Kemp couldn't get outside the boisterous and often electrifying linebacker for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Well, he's been one of the pleasant surprises in the CFL this year. He's part of that long trait of great Winnipeg linebackers. He has filled in admirably along with Greg Clark on the inside, and he has really made an impact here in his 2nd year in Winnipeg. You see as Kemp trying to outrun him, he has to get rid of the football and not take the loss.
So it's 3rd down, and Brent Matich comes in. Kicking into the wind, and it's Gulliford shaking one tackle and into Saskatchewan territory at the 52-yard line. That's a 38-yard punt and an 8-yard return for Eric Gulliford.
Some guys will just never quit. That's why there's Speed Stick. It goes on dry and fights odor around the clock. A full 24 hours. You may never need it, but we're there if you do. Speed Stick, top 24-hour protection.
After the kind of day you put in, all you want to do is fall into a nice, comfortable easy chair in a quiet place. Of course, sooner or later, you'll have to go home.
Let's enjoy it while we can. Let's enjoy it while we can. Won't you help me sing my song? Help me sing my song. We'll be lovers once again. Take the bright side of the road.
Introducing the all-new Toyota Camry. Take the bright side of the road.
Welcome back to Regina. Beautiful and crisp evening. Talked about the playoff implications here, and
Playoffs don't feel too far away when you take a walk in Regina tonight.
You have to bundle up, and the players, if you look at them, when you're playing football, you don't want to bundle up because you don't want to get overheated, and these guys are going to be in a heated battle tonight.
Here's Austin, the quick hitter. That's Gulliford. And he stretches out to the 43-yard line. That's close to a first down. And Greg Battle was in the neighborhood for Saskatchewan.
Gulliford has emerged as Winnipeg's top receiver this year. They lost Gerald Wilcox early with a knee injury, who had been their leader over the past several seasons. But he has come in and filled in. The second-year player out of Arizona State is having a marvelous season.
He sure is. In fact, I guess in a perfect world, Winnipeg's slot backs who are starting tonight would be the wideouts. And Gerald Wilcox and Milt Stiegel, who are on the injury list, would be the slot backs, but they've moved Gulliford inside, Shannon Baker inside.
And Gulliford could be the fastest slot back in the CFL. When he was in college at Arizona State, he had clocked a 4.2 in the 40-yard dash, so he has the speed to break it from that slot position.
The first time all year Winnipeg has started the same offensive unit in back-to-back games, second and short, and Bryant crashing down near the 40 will move the sticks. Well, it'll be interesting to see how dedicated Winnipeg is, the offense, Cal Murphy, to establishing this run tonight, because they've talked about it before and then gotten away from that running game.
Well, they got away from that game plan early last week when Blaze Bryant took an objectionable call penalty early in the game, and Cal took him out of the game.
Here's Austin throwing in the flat, and Baker caught the ball and then caught the hit of Terrell Ulmer.
Well, Shannon Baker has to be wondering right now, does he have a bullseye on his chest or something? Because last week he was laid out by Trent Brown, and he's taken two vicious hits early in the game, but Ulmer took the worst of that one, and he's down on the field. We'll get a great shot of it here.
Picking up on the play was Saskatchewan 2. Ulmer.
As a defensive back, you dream for shots like that because you get an opportunity to line up a receiver, and that time it didn't pay out for Ulmer. He got the great hit, but he's going to have to leave the game for at least 3 plays.
So Terrell Ulmer getting attention. Talked to Shannon Baker about that hit last week and whether he thought it might have been a cheap shot. And he said, you know, if I was watching at home, I would have said, wow, what a great hit. He said that's exciting football, but he only had to look at it once on the game films and then walked out of the room this week during the film sessions. He wasn't interested in seeing the hit a second time.
Well, it was a tremendous hit, but also in turn, you have to wonder, was the hit warranted? The game was out of hand. The defensive back had a 5-yard run where he could have adjusted his path and avoided the receiver, but he decided to take the hit. It was clean, but was it justified?
Someplace else.
Well, Baker with 881 all-purpose yards coming into this game. And he is dangerous from the receiver position as a return man. And a pretty engaging character as well, as Ulmer is helped to the sideline.
Well, he has the nickname the touchdown maker, and that's the one part of his game with the Bombers he has not been able to bring full fold. He has not been able to get into the end zone, and that's the big thing that they're expecting from him eventually in his career.
So second down 5. And they try the end around, and this is Shannon Baker looking for a block and gets it. First down and a lot more. Shannon Baker racing to the end zone, and he's out of bounds at the 3. Dallas Rice-Savvy forcing him out, but that's a 32-yard run for Shannon Baker.
Well, it was a beautiful run, a reverse play, and what you have when your team that pursues as well as Saskatchewan is that you want to get the momentum of the defense going to the field. But watch Alan Boyko on a block. You just missed it, but Boyko laid a block on Vincent Donaldson just at the end of that run that allowed him to turn the corner and get inside the 5.
So the running game is on track.
Even though it's the reverse.
Yeah, surprising source, and now they go back to Bryant, crashing down and stuffed. Big defensive play there by the veteran linebacker, Dan Rashovich, in his 200th CFL game, number 150. And a turnover as well, as the Bombers have coughed it up.
Dave Van Bellingham came out of there with that loose ball, filling from his free safety position, along with Bobby Jerson. Watch the close by Rasovich as he steps up in the hole, along with Van Bellingham. And the hit by Van Bellingham, putting his helmet on the football, knocked it loose from Blaze Bryant. And the Riders come up with a big break early because the Bombers were in great scoring position.
Boy, that defense has been resilient in recent weeks. There's Dave Van Bellingham, the pride of Kenora.
Had his best season as a pro last year here in Saskatchewan, where he recorded a career-high 7 interceptions.
That's shades of last week in BC, where the Lions kept threatening to put it in the end zone, and the Green Rider defense just hung tough. And there's a fumble. That ball loose in the end zone. This could be a touchdown. And who's on it? Bombers had a couple of cracks at it, and they do have a touchdown.
Angelo Snipe, hustling back, came up with the loose ball for the touchdown for the Bombers.
And boy, what a story that is for Saskatchewan. The defense continues to stand tall, but the offense turns it over again. And Angelo Snipes, who's been one of the best for the Bombers this season, comes up with the football.
He has been a very consistent player all year. And when you have an offense that's struggling such as Saskatchewan has, you cannot afford the turnovers that they've had. And that ball actually was knocked out by John Terry, the offensive tackle, who came by and knocked the ball out of his running back Robert Mims' arms, and it was recovered by Snipes in the end zone for the eventual touchdown.
That's the second career touchdown for Angelo Snipes in the CFL. Had an interception for a major score in Ottawa 5 years ago. He has the opening points tonight.
The most colorful part of a football game is winning, especially when you play the BF Goodrich TA Show 'em Your True Colors football contest. Watch the CFL on CBC and you could win a set of 4 BF Goodrich TA tires, or be eligible for our grand prize, a fabulous trip for 4 to the 1996 Grey Cup. Just call 1-900-870-2728. Guess who's going to win and by how much? You could really come through with flying colors when you play the BF Goodrich TA Show 'em Your True Colors football contest.
So the sales guy says 2 identical cars, same model, same year, same everything, but go with the blue. It costs more. What does he think I am, nuts? Well, if you're still buying long distance from your local phone company, you just bought the blue car.
Sprint Canada's the most savings plan has the best monthly savings. Guaranteed.
2 long-distance savings plans, same service, but go with the red. Costs less.
Get the most for the least from Sprint Canada. Call 1-800-THE-MOST for details now.
I never look good in blue anyway.
Hi, I'm Wes Montgomery.
I'm Jackie Ray with the top 5 reasons why real country music fans listen to 790 CFCW.
Numero 5, country classics as well as the hot new hits of today.
Wes is the old classics. I'm the hot new thing.
Right. Numero 4, no GST.
3, we get you smiling in the morning.
Maybe even a few guffaws.
2, Alberta's best weather reports. When we say it's sunny, it's sunny.
And number 1, country music the way it's meant to be.
CFCW.
Good work on defense. I'll clear it.
There's the touchdown maker, Angelo Snipes.
Well, you love to see your offensive lineman hustling. Watch John Terry right here, the offensive tackle, as he peels back and try to get an extra block on K.D. Williams. He knocks the ball out of Mims' arms inadvertently, and Winnipeg recovers for the touchdown. You'll see right there as the ball comes free and the mad scramble, and Angelo Snipes with the recovery.
7th fumble of the year for Mims, the 5th that he has lost, and the most costly. Rod Harris on the return. We're midway through the first quarter, and 7-0. The Blue Bombers lead, and Jimmy Kemp has the job of getting the Saskatchewan offense kick-started.
Well, this is the hole that Saskatchewan could not afford to be in early.
Offensive line had a tough week against BC last week, and they've gone back to a lot of basics in their blocking. Curtis Mayfield was a one-man wrecking crew in the September 1st game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He had touchdown catches of 87 and 95 yards. Kemp looking downfield for Narcisse, who made the catch, but he was out of bounds, and it's called incomplete.
But that goes back to the point that I was making, that you have to be willing to throw the ball to the wide receivers.
3-4 defense for Winnipeg. The veteran nose tackle is John Kropke. Always great linebackers in Winnipeg. You've seen Snipes already score a touchdown. Greg Clark, an outstanding year. Bobby Evans was the guy burned on September 1st by Mayfield, and he is anxious to atone for that tonight. 2nd and 10. Kemp has Narcisse open. There's a catch. Donald Narcisse has had to wait till late in the 3rd quarter of the last 2 weeks to extend his receiving streak. Gets one early tonight, and now 158 consecutive games. That's quite a mark.
It is an amazing streak when you think about Donald Narcisse. Has never really been thought of as a burner or even a great route runner, but he has been the best receiver possibly that the CFL has ever seen. Jimmy Kemp with the wide side throw. Narcisse has to come back and wait on it, but he gets his reception early. Maybe he'll be more effective as the game wears on.
Brent Mattich back in, punting against a breeze out of the north. Gulliford and Baker awaiting the punt, and this will be Gulliford from his 32 across the 40 to the 43, and Rick Walters first man to stop him. 8-yard return. Here's the standings in the West. Cal Murphy with a game in hand on Edmonton, and the Eskimos playing BC tomorrow. Feels seconds not out of reach.
Well, you know, this has been one of the more interesting playoff races in some years here in the Western Division of the CFL. Calgary was thought to have a lock on it. They had struggled up until last night. They had a 3-game slump. Edmonton hasn't had the consistent offense, and Winnipeg just haven't found their form yet.
Here's Austin, quick hitter, Aaron Ruffin. Immediate contact on Shannon Baker. Flag flies well after the play in the backfield.
Well, I think Bobby Pangelitis, 69, is going to get a roughing penalty for Winnipeg.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 57.
Well, it was the other guard.
Brett McNeil.
They had them both, though.
Well, that was tight coverage by Ruffin.
Well, you get a shot of the penalty here right there as Edwards is coming across, and McNeil takes a shot on him well after the play, but the coverage was really tight by Ruffin. I think the thing that you're going to get with these Saskatchewan Roughrider defensive backs is that they've looked at a lot of film on Ken Austin from his days playing here in Saskatchewan.
McNeil goes out, Kevin Robson in, and here's Dean Lytle breaking a couple of tackles and twisting up to the 32, and now we've got something else going, and this time it is Pandelitis in the middle of it.
Well, this is something that we don't need in a football game. We know it's a very intense rivalry between these two clubs, and already the players are getting into early scraps, and so it's going to be a long, intense night.
Guy Earl there as well. And in the first meeting between these two teams, it was the battle on the the line that was won by Saskatchewan that really turned the tables.
Well, I think they're winning the battle right now on their defensive line versus Winnipeg offensive line. They have not been able to move the ball on the ground other than the reverse.
Bob Cameron. Rod Harris calling for it. And Harris down, so better specialty teams coverage by the Bombers. Just a 1-yard return as we join Scott.
Well, Chris, the Saskatchewan defense spent a lot of time on the field this season. 2 and out describes how the offense is played, but Bobby Jurison told me he and his defensive mates expected as much.
Right now, the mood on this football club is that we have to give the offense as many opportunities as we can, because we know we have young quarterbacks, and that's the route we're taking this year. And we're finally, in the first 11 years that I've been here, working on young talent, and they're going to be our future of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
All the patience being tested right now as the defense plays tough, and the offense has given up a scoring play for Winnipeg. And here is Boyko, Bruce Boyko, across the 35-yard line, and he has a gain of 5. Gerald Vaughn with the tackle. Jimmy Kemp in an interesting position here, James, because when we saw him 2 weeks ago, he came in late in the game as a replacement for Kevin Mason, and he's threw 3 interceptions in the last 5 minutes against Ottawa as the Roughriders came back to win.
Well, he completed all 4 passes that he threw. It just, unfortunately, 3 were to the other team. He hasn't done that thus far, but one of the things he needs to get away from is the misdirection that he's trying to create in his offense and just get rid of the ball early.
2nd and 5. Here comes the rush. Kemp finds Boyko again. Nice tackle there by K.D. Williams to prevent Boyko from getting to the first down marker.
You know, now the punt team is going to have to come in, and it's a tough situation for Saskatchewan to be in at this point. He's throwing 3- and 4-yard passes to his fullback, Boyko, and he's going to be run down short of the first down. He has to throw directly down the field, not try to stretch this Winnipeg defense from sideline to sideline because they have great pursuit. He needs to try to nickel and dime in that in-between area, in between the hash marks.
So it's 3rd and 1, and Matic must punt. .505 to go, first quarter, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with a 7-0 lead. Gulliford broke the first tackle, tries to get it outside. He's dangerous. Eric Gulliford down the sidelines, and it's Matic who has to force him out. Well, Gulliford has done it again, 33 yards after the 37-yard punt. And when the exchange is just 4 yards, it's a frustrating situation for Saskatchewan, who are looking at 3rd and 1.
Special teams is always such a big part of a CFL football game, and when you can get that wall return set up as Winnipeg did on that last return, allowing him to turn the corner, and the only guy he has to face is the punter, normally he'll win that battle, and it's great field position for Ken Austin and his Winnipeg offense at the 42-yard line.
You know, these numbers for Gulliford are amazing. Because of the number of games he has played, you project that over a season, he'd be over 4,000 yards all-purpose.
Well, he has been a great addition for this struggling Winnipeg offense because he allows them to play on a shorter field, and that's what you want as an offensive coordinator, Mike Kelly, and his offense to play on that short field. Ken Austin now has to pick up the first down.
Pass incomplete to Alan Boyko, so it's 2nd and 10. Saskatchewan 42. Draw play, Bryant. Great battle there to limit the gain to 5.
Greg Battle has been playing like a 25-year-old linebacker as of late. He read that play from the start. He saw the center, Von Conant, step out at him. He stood him up. He got the hands on him, shoved him off, read, he scraped, made the tackle short of the first down.
32 years of age, a 10-year CFL veteran out of Arizona State.
And he's only gotten better. It seems this year he's played as well since coming to Saskatchewan as he has ever played, even when he was back in his Winnipeg days winning Outstanding Defensive Player awards.
Well, he's just getting over the effects of hepatitis A. Troy Westwood in to attempt a field goal. Went 4 for 4 last week when nobody thought he'd be healthy enough to play. And he's nailed another. And with 3:40 to play in the first quarter at Taylor Field, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have jumped out to a 10-point lead.
Isn't milk great?
Yeah, it goes with anything.
Like peanut butter, sandwich paste.
Peanut butter jam sandwiches.
Pancakes and ham.
Red radishes.
Heaven knows, anything goes.
Homogenized.
Yeah.
1 and 2%. Always so good, so cold and wet. Heaven knows, anything goes. Milk. Anything goes.
Here's the multigrain bagels.
This herb and garlic cream cheese goes well with those.
And there's the sesame seed.
And the original cream cheese.
Hi, friend. A cinnamon raisin bagel with a light strawberry, please.
At Tim Hortons, you can enjoy a freshly baked bagel with Philadelphia cream cheese for just $1.49 every day.
You've always got time for Tim Hortons.
So what cream cheese goes with our everything bagel?
With everything? Anything goes.
Yes. We've got bagels.
Nights at 9. Welcome back to Taylor Field. Don't forget Forever Rivals coming up tomorrow night on the CBC network. Those of us who grew up cheering for either Montreal or Toronto will be intrigued by it, but everybody will be as the program examines one of the most enduring rivalries in sport between two of hockey's most renowned teams. Telecast starts at 8 Eastern. Forever Rivals, just like these two teams, Chris.
Absolutely the greatest Canadian rivalry, but this one pretty intense between these two teams over the years. Here's Mims, stopped right at the line of scrimmage by Angelo Snipes, and a flag down.
Well, you're going to get Winnipeg off sides, but I have to question the play calling of the Saskatchewan offense right now. It's fine and dandy to develop a run game.
Offside, Winnipeg number 48.
You'll see Charlie Clemens as they come off on the voice inflection of Jimmy Kemp, but trying to establish a running game when your offense is just struggling overall and not putting any points on the scoreboard, when you have to pass the ball, they have to put just a bit more imagination into their play calling.
So it's 1st and 5 for Saskatchewan. And it's Mims again, the 1,000-yard rusher, has 5 more and should have a first down. Katie Williams was there for the Blue Bombers. Robert Mims, boy, he caught Cal Murphy's eye last week. Of course, he played under Murphy in Winnipeg for a couple of 1,000-yard seasons. And Murphy thinks he might be even quicker now than he was 5 years ago.
Well, he caught everyone's eye last week, and when he gained his 1,000th yard of the season, he did it in fine fashion on a 24-yard touchdown run, and that's the way that you like to pick it up.
First down, Kemp has trouble with the snap, and this is Angelo Snipes again. And Snipes has 2 touchdowns. 37 yards, a fumble recovery, his second of the game, his second touchdown of the game, and Angelo Snipes is the most potent weapon on the field.
Well, you go back and you think about Paul Vida and Jimmy Kemp haven't really worked together this year. Paul Vida only playing his second game at center for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Jimmy Kemp in his first start, pulling out early. He has to stay up under the center and make sure the exchange is taking place. He pulled out early. Snipes beat him to the ball. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
Well, the coach was talking about Angelo Snipes before the game. One of the players on the Winnipeg defense that never takes a play off, and it's made big dividends in this opening quarter as the Bombers roar out to a 17-point lead. As Scott mentioned, anxious to atone for the 41 31-23 loss here on September 1st.
Well, they were really embarrassed by Saskatchewan the last time they met. They already have a 17-point lead in this game. And Saskatchewan is the lowest scoring team offensively in the league, averaging just under 18 points a game. And with a 17-point deficit, it's going to be a huge struggle for this offense that's been lackluster thus far here in the first quarter to get on track and catch the Bombers.
Yeah, Jim Daly knew there'd be days like this. But when you come to the park and your expected starting quarterback is down with the flu, and then you see 2 fumbles go to touchdowns. Here's Jimmy Kemp's last 8 drives. 3 straight interceptions in that Ottawa game. A punt, a fumble, 2 punts, and now another fumble. And the 2 fumbles have resulted in touchdowns.
And one of the things that's going to do to Kemp is also shake his confidence. You know, his belief in himself, and also his offensive teammates wondering whether he can get the job done or not.
Westwood to kick it off. And Aaron Ruffin breaks 1 tackle, and Saskatchewan needed this and gets a good return by Ruffin up to the 48-yard line. 37 yards. He brings the football back. Maybe Cal Murphy knew something today, too, because when we talked to him about his defense, which he felt was playing well, his one big complaint was the lack of takeaways they've had this year.
Well, that's one of the things they had been noted for in the past, is their takeaways, but this is a great individual effort by Ruffin, getting Saskatchewan out close to the 50-yard line. Now the pressure's on Jimmy Kemp. He's Rylance is down at the start of this game, so this is his game to win or lose, and he needs something happen right now.
Here comes the rush, and a pass out for Mims, who can't make the one-handed catch, with Greg Clark in coverage.
When you have a quarterback taking a 3-step drop, he has to get rid of the ball on time. John Cropkey, coming from his nose position, is right in front of Kemp. Stands about 6'5". Kemp only stands 6'1". And when you take that short drop, you have to be willing to throw the ball. That time he held it. Cropkey came through and disrupted the timing.
Big John Cropkey, 8 years in the league.
He was a steal from Ottawa in the offseason.
2nd and 10. This time he has an open receiver and has the catch. Rod Harris, check that Mayfield, the man who stung the Bombers on Labor Day, has come up with a big catch and a 32-yard gain.
And if that ball had been on time, it would have been a touchdown. He had to come to a complete stop and wait on this football because he had just blown past Bobby Evans, I believe it is, who was in coverage on the play, make that Gerald Vaughn. But he was wide open. Kemp just couldn't lead him on the pass. Otherwise, it would have been 6.
Final minute, first quarter, and Saskatchewan needs points on the board as you check Mayfield's numbers from the last time out against Winnipeg. And that's going to go against Saskatchewan as
Hiscock on the right tackle jumped. And this is what they cannot afford. We talked to Daly about the
procedure. Saskatchewan number 59.
We talked about the penalties and the missed assignments. Hiscock actually was taken out of the game last week when he had gotten a roughing call against BC, and they had to move Todd Storm in at offensive tackle. But he is trying to atone for a tough game he had last week. But the penalties are going to hurt Saskatchewan once again.
1st and 15 now. Kemp has an open receiver, and that is Harris trying to spin away from Damian Lyons. Jimmy Kemp starting to find the mark. He had 3 starts with Montreal earlier this year and put up pretty good numbers.
Well, he also started 3 games in San Antonio last year, backing up David Archer when he was down. So he is a quarterback not accustomed to starting, so he should know the rhythms of the game more effectively than what he's been thus far.
He's 5 for 7, 53 yards, of course, 32 on the 1 catch by Mayfield. What's hurt Saskatchewan is 2 fumbles that have gone for touchdowns. That pass for Narcisse misses as Donald Narcisse took a hit. That's the final play of the first quarter. And it was a rough one for the hometown Riders. Cal Murphy's Bombers lead it 17-0.
My brother wanted to be a cowboy, but me?
Andrew Salvaccio, McDonald's executive chef, food enthusiast, and the man who actually created the Arch Deluxe.
Quality ingredients are just the start of a great burger. Crisp leaves of iceberg lettuce, the stone ground mustard sauce, the soft comforting potato roll. I'm in the zone. All layered together in one symphony of taste. I made it for you. I love being a chef.
McDonald's Arch Deluxe, the country's favorite new burger.
And not just because of the hat.
Looking for a work boot as tough as you. Okay, maybe tougher. Terra militaries can't guarantee you'll outlive it.
Fall's nice, but saving money is a lot nicer. Thanks to Canadian Tire's great fall sale.
They have everything I need for my home and my car, plus brand names I feel good about.
At prices I feel great about. Now that's important.
Canadian Tire makes it easier to say goodbye to summer.
And say hello to the savings.
Everyday low prices? That's good.
Everyday low prices plus Canadian Tire's great fall sale. That's better.
Canadian Tire. Everyday low prices made better.
Bombers' best offense tonight's been their defense. What an up-and-down season it's been for Winnipeg. Win 2, lose 2, win 1, lose 2. They need to be more consistent on offense, as Kent Austin admits.
We have got to find a way to have the young guys who are being asked an awful lot right now mentally to pull up some slack and not make some of the mental mistakes that they're making on the field, because we do have our share of mental errors that probably are too many at this point.
Well, maybe Angelo Snipes in that offense would help Kent Austin out. He has 2 touchdowns in this game so far, and Frank Jagus has a chance to get Saskatchewan on the board. A 32-yard attempt on the opening play of the second quarter. Kemp puts it down, and Jagus puts it through. So Saskatchewan is on the board, trailing 17-3 in the difference. The 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns by Angelo Snipes.
Well, also, you know, you think about this second game in succession where they weren't able to produce points in the first quarter, but Winnipeg got away without turnovers, and the 2 Saskatchewan turnovers cost them touchdowns. And over the past 2 games, there has been 3 turnovers that have led to opponents' touchdowns versus Saskatchewan. So in the last 3 games, there's been 5, and you can't afford to do that because you won't win football games.
First down for Austin. Sets up and fires, and it's complete to Alan Boyko. Benson Donaldson, with some help from Tommy Smith, takes him down. And there'll be an argument over where they spot that football.
Well, you have to go with the forward progress of the receivers. They're claiming right now that he fumbled the football. That's what the big argument is about. But it's going to be second down for Winnipeg. And at the point when he caught the football, you'll see he's across the 45-yard line. That should be a first down spot. But he is driven back by the Saskatchewan defenders. The ball actually comes out.
Tommy Smith stripped the football away, and
looked like Donaldson knocked it out of bounds.
Yep.
That should have been a Saskatchewan football. But we've seen a few misses.
And none of the breaks seem to be going Saskatchewan's way so far. And Austin will keep to move the sticks himself. You know, when we talked to Cal Murphy about the last meeting between these 2 teams, he really boiled the loss down to 4 big plays. Mayfield with a couple, a missed assignment by K.D. Williams. And there's Reggie Slack, who threw an interception that was returned for a touchdown by Tommy Smith. He said, we lost the last meeting between these 2 teams on 4 plays. Well, Saskatchewan's behind the 8 ball here after 1 quarter because of 2 plays.
It's been very significant in the 2 games between the 2 teams.
Here's Austin throwing, and that one almost picked off. Bryce Bevel looking for his first CFL interception got his hand on the ball intended for Blaze Bryant.
Well, neither quarterback has looked sharp here in the first quarter. They both completed a few passes, but they haven't done anything consistently. And you would expect more than this from Ken Austin. This is one of the better passes in the CFL over the past 10 years, but he has not been able to find the groove since leaving Saskatchewan here 3 seasons ago in a trade, and he's bounced around since that point.
Second down, Austin throwing, it's picked up, and this is a big play for Saskatchewan. That is Bevel. His first CFL interception is a touchdown. 45 yards, and the third touchdown of the game is also scored by a defensive player.
We were talking during our last time out, Saskatchewan's best offense has been their defense, and now the defense has put the points on the scoreboards. I spoke about earlier, Saskatchewan looking at a lot of game film of Ken Austin. They have a lot on file here at Taylor Field, and that time Bevel jumped the hot route and took it back to the house for 6.
Well, what an unusual first half it has been. Mr. Curry, a former defensive player, has a little smirk on his face.
I'm licking my chops.
And Saskatchewan's right back in it. First the field goal, and now the touchdown by Bevel.
Hello? Hello? Are you in there?
Oh, ever wonder how some mechanics can quote you a package price on brakes without even seeing your car? Well, at Midas, the technicians aren't psychic. They always do a free written inspection first. And the price they quote is the price you pay. It's guaranteed. Just like the word. Midas. Way of shipping. I see millions of people driving to Midas.
If the choice was yours, you'd wear something casual to work. But in reality, you have to wear steel-toed work boots. So you wear comfortable, lightweight Dakota Aggressor work boots with the safety you need and the all-day comfort you want. So, when work's finished, you're not. Dakota Aggressor work boots for men and women only at Mark's Work Warehouse.
The fact that you dirty oil doesn't mean you have to take it to a dirty oil change center. Come to Lube City. Our waiting room is clean and comfortable, and we even have video monitors where you can learn about the benefits of oil changes, lubes, flushes, and our 31-point maintenance check. So the next time you get your oil changed, why not get a pleasant change of surroundings, too? After all, if you wanted to go somewhere grimy and dark, you'd be under the car doing it yourself, right? Lube City, we're good, we're fast, and we're complete.
Exciting moment for a young guy who's been getting better in that defensive secondary for Saskatchewan. Bryce Bevel's first CFL interception and touchdown.
Started as a rookie for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the secondary, and the big plays have been what they've been able to keep the Saskatchewan Roughriders close as of late.
Jagus kicking it off, and Shannon Baker has it at his 17. And to cut it outside, tripped up, big defensive play there by the hitman, Vincent Donaldson.
Vincent Donaldson has had a very solid season for Saskatchewan this year, playing on the corner, a very dominant player.
And secondary coming up with back-to-back big plays. They feel good right now, and Saskatchewan's right back in it.
Let's take a look at that last play. There's going to be 3 green jerseys in that bracket right there. Ken Austin had a Saskatchewan flashback because he thought he had an open man. He saw so many green jerseys, and Bryce Bevel was sitting there. He was covered by, disguised by Bobby Jurison, who blocked Ken Austin's vision of the defensive back sitting there, but he was able to jump the route and take it home.
Now the Heat did on Austin to get Winnipeg's offense going. An incomplete pass and a flag down in the backfield.
That's where you're going to get that holding call against Winnipeg.
Check out the you saw those numbers through the first quarter.
Oh, we got an illegal block to the head. That's been a call that's been coming up a lot this season. That's something that finally that the officials are recognizing.
Illegal block to the head. Winnipeg number 68.
That's Guy Earl, the left tackle.
As a twin brother that plays in Montreal. You'll see him right here working against Bobby Jerson. He gets both of those hands up in Jerson's face trying to get the pass rusher off of him. And that's something that's been a dangerous maneuver for offensive linemen to use on defensive linemen over the years.
First and 20. Austin, and this one's picked off. Aaron Ruffin. And Aaron Ruffin takes it down inside the 10. Back-to-back picks has Cal Murphy. And the Bombers on the ropes now as Saskatchewan's right back in it.
Well, you talk about having a brain cramp. People say that all the time, but Ken Austin is seeing green, and I don't think he realizes right now that he's wearing a white jersey tonight because Aaron Ruffin was wide open. But you also have to give praise to the Saskatchewan secondary for being able to disguise their coverage at the snap and being able to jump back into the zone, giving Austin a misread and coming up with their second big interception in his mini series.
Looked like Austin and Baker had words after the ball was picked off. With all those changes in the receiving corps, the communication lines seem to be a little down. Here's the pitch to Mims. Left side, and Mims can't beat the wave.
To go back to that point on Baker, you have to go back to he had that slight concussion last week also, so he may not have all his faculties in running a route as we see Aaron Ruffin.
We in it to win it, baby.
And that's the attitude you have to have as a football player. You have to be in any game to win it. I mean, you shouldn't just be happy showing up. You should go out and give that 110% effort every game.
Ruffin had an interception last week, and now in back-to-back games, 2nd and goal from the 7. Kemp hit, fumble, and who's on it? Saskatchewan got the ball back, but John Kropke really unloaded on Jimmy Kemp, and it was Robert Mims that saved the football for Saskatchewan.
And I spoke about that a couple series ago with Jimmy Kemp. If you're gonna take the short drop, you have to get rid of the ball. You can't hold it because offensive linemen are expecting this ball to be gone within 3 steps, and that's about 2 seconds, and Jimmy Kemp is holding it, and he's going to cause problems doing that.
John Kropke, 73, tackled Kemp.
So the Winnipeg defense holds, and Jagus will come in to attempt a 26-yarder. And Jagus misses, and that will go for a single point. So the Ruffin interception that seemed to have Saskatchewan poised to get on even terms results in just 1 point. And that time the Bombers dodge a bullet.
They dodged a huge bullet, and Saskatchewan has just had problems all year long getting into the end zone and producing points. And when they had a golden opportunity to pick up 7, possibly 3, they only come away with 1. As we look at Ken Austin's numbers, he hasn't had a good first half thus far.
And they are not vintage numbers on the year either. 14 interceptions now, 7 touchdown passes.
Only Danny McManus among starters had a lower efficiency rating.
First down, and they'll go back to the ground and nothing doing. Bobby Jurison there.
You know, you look at this Saskatchewan defense, Chris, and you have to look how well they've played this year. I mean, but Edmonton and Calgary, Toronto get a lot of praise defensively as we see Bobby Jurison's numbers on the season. He's been a very consistent pass rusher. Greg Marshall sending in the defensive scheme, and Bobby Jurison is the only defensive lineman in the CFL that calls the defensive signals.
2nd down 9. Austin looks back this way, goes back to Baker, and Baker shot through a hole and has a first down up at the 47, but there is a flag down in the backfield.
We're going to get a roughing the passer call. Derek Alexander came in. Troy Alexander came in a bit late.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Saskatchewan number 46.
You'll get a good shot. Troy Alexander coming from the bottom of your screen. That ball's away, and he couldn't tell that it was away. He was just scrambling towards the quarterback. He had been blocked to the ground and got a flag.
So a 13-yard pickup and then 15 tagged on. And the ball suddenly in Saskatchewan territory at the Rider 47. 9:05 to play, first half. And Lytle over the 45 has 3. 17-11 Winnipeg. And most of the scoring, the 3 majors, by the defenses so far.
Well, Dan Rasevich made that last tackle on that play. This is a player who had an ulcer in his eye last week and played in quite a bit of discomfort out in BC, but he has been that type of player throughout his career, playing in his 200th game tonight here in Saskatchewan, and he is just a great football player when it comes to intensity.
Second down, Austin rolling, and Lytle can't squeeze the football.
Pass attempt for 39, Lytle incomplete.
Gary Rogers was bearing in on Ken Austin, and he may have rushed that pass a bit.
Well, Gary Rogers came over in an acquisition from Montreal. He had actually been released by Montreal and added extra pass rushing potential on the outside for Saskatchewan, and that time forced Austin to throw it early.
And because of the heat from Rogers and company, Austin 4 for 10 and 2 interceptions so far.
Now, Troy Westwood has a 47-yard field goal this season, and you wondered why they may not have, but I guess the wind here at Taylor Field.
Instead, Cameron will fake it and hand it off, and this is Shannon Baker. And Baker will have the first down and more. Shannon Baker inside the 20 as Cal Murphy goes to the bag of tricks. A handoff from Cameron to Baker for 25 yards.
What an excellent play call from the sideline for Winnipeg to take advantage of Saskatchewan going back into coverage. You'll see Cameron as he strides through. He sells it that he's going to punt it, and you get Baker coming around the back door, and Vincent Donaldson turned him inside, but Saskatchewan had turned their back to go back and get into their blocking lanes, and Winnipeg picks up a first down.
Well, we talked about the running game. Shannon Baker now, 2 carries, 57 yards.
On his way to 100.
10-19.
First down. Austin, time over the middle, incomplete, and Aaron Ruffin was all over the intended receiver, Sean Graham.
For 88, Sean Graham incomplete.
Aaron Ruffin has played a very important role in the Saskatchewan defense here in the first half. He has interception. He's broke up 3 key passes coming over the middle. So he has his game hat on tonight.
Extra DB comes in for Saskatchewan as Tim Edwards checks out.
Nick Ferguson, a new acquisition.
2nd and 10. Heat on. Austin got rid of it, and Blaze Bryant drops the football.
Austin's pass attempt for Bryant. Incomplete.
Troy Alexander put tremendous pressure on Ken Austin as he was trying to set up that screenplay. If you recall, he got the roughing penalties just earlier in the series, but that time came through clean, forced Austin to throw it early, and Bryant just couldn't pull it in. It hit him right in the hands, and I guess that's a bad spot for a running back.
And it forces 3rd down. And now Westwood is in to attempt a 27-yarder. And Troy Westwood is good. So Westwood expands the lead as the Blue Bombers put 3 on the board and lead 20-11.
For the most interior room in its class. For so much car for so little. It's a #1 value from Mazda. Mazda Protege. Everything's big except the price. Check out a 1997 Mazda Protege today. Protege by Mazda.
I never had any indication that I was going to have a heart attack. I was all by myself, and then I found out about We Care, and they really came to my rescue. I needed full-time care for a while. I didn't know what to do, and that's important when you're very, very young. And we do my shopping and my dry cleaning and things like that. For anybody that's by themselves, I highly recommend We Care because they all care. Their name is right, We Care.
At first glance, this battery looks like most other batteries, except for one important feature. Only a UAP Napa battery meets the top quality standards of UAP Napa. UAP Napa, the right brand for the job. At first glance, this set of brakes looks like most other brakes, except for one important feature. Only UAP Napa brakes meet the top quality standards of UAP Napa. UAP Napa, the right brand for the job.
Timekeeper's bench.
Oh, Cal Murphy looking a little more concerned than midway through the first quarter when it was 17-0. He was a little concerned about some of the young players on the Blue Bombers. You heard from Ken Austin earlier, but young players who haven't played the full 18 games before seem to hit a wall at this stage of the season, which is the same length of time as a collegiate season, 12 games. Here's Rod Harris on the return. Harris trying to get it outside, but there's a wave of blue and white tacklers.
Just to touch on that point you were talking about, it's like it used to say going into the ozone, or someplace where a young player hasn't been before. You got to go out and find some new air, new way of life. You got to learn how to breathe at a different level because the body gets tired. The legs are tired. Your mind is tired. The fatigue, you got to work past the fatigue, and that's the concern that most coaches have with the young players. Can they play that 18-game grueling schedule? If you throw in the preseason, it's 20, and if you go all the way to the Grey Cup, it's 23 games, 2 seasons in one.
Jimmy Kemp on first down, hands off to Mims, trying the left side. Not much there as John Kropke closed the door again.
Now, this is a true test here for Jimmy Kemp. He's going to have a 2nd and 8, 2nd and 7. What type of pass will he throw? This is one where you have to throw for the sticks. You can't throw a 3-yard pass and expect for the receiver to run and try to get the first down because the great pursuit on the defensive side of the football. He has to throw it towards the sticks and pick up the first down in the air.
Under 6 minutes to play in the first half. Bombers blitzing. Kemp gets it away, looking deep, and it falls incomplete. Intended for Mayfield. And pretty good coverage afforded there by Darius Watson.
Well, you know, he's gambling for it all, trying to get the touchdown. Well, they need to pick up the first down. They got to march the ball. They got to take some time off the clock. K.D. Williams has had a marvelous year here. That time applying the pressure on Kemp along with John Kropke up the middle. He's taking a beating already here in the first half.
So third down. There are the numbers for Matic. As Baker and Gulliford are deep. And this is Baker from his 18. And Shannon Baker up to the 30-yard line. Has 12 on the return after a 56-yard punt. And when we come back to Taylor Field, Winnipeg football.
It's time to play the BF Goodrich TA Show 'em Your True Colors football contest. Guess who's going to win and by how much? You could win a set of 4 BF Goodrich TA tires or be eligible for our grand prize, a trip for 4 to the 96 Grey Cup. Call 1-900-870-2728 now.
Here's the multigrain bagels.
This herb and garlic cream cheese goes well with those.
And there's the sesame seed.
And the original cream cheese.
Hi, friend. A cinnamon raisin bagel with the light strawberry, please.
At Tim Hortons, you can enjoy a freshly baked bagel with Philadelphia cream cheese for just $1.49 every day.
You've always got time for Tim Hortons.
So what cream cheese goes with our everything bagel?
With everything? Anything goes.
Yes, we've got bagels.
It was harvest time when a terrible accident changed John Paul's life forever. He was playing near a grain auger and fell onto the moving blades. Both his arms were severed. John Paul and other War Amps champs who have lost arms and legs in accidents appear on parade floats and television with a kids-to-kids warning.
Don't let it happen to you. Play safe.
Please call the War Amps about the materials available through the Play Safe program.
Play safe. It's time to play the BF Goodrich TA Show 'em Your True Colors football contest. Guess who's going to win and by how much? You could win a set of 4 BF Goodrich TA tires or be eligible for our grand prize, a trip for 4 to the 96 Grey Cup. Call 1-900-870-2728 now.
Winnipeg leading by 9. Shannon Baker in the Bomber lineup tonight. Chris and James have talked about the big hit he suffered last week, but the pictures tell the story of his amazing recuperative powers. 8 days ago, he was knocked into a different time zone by Errol Brown of the Eskimos. He woke up in the ambulance, missed only 1 practice. He's playing tonight, and he's been busy, Chris, especially in the rushing department.
Has he ever? But here is the star running back of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Blaze Bryant, with his biggest carry of the game, all the way to midfield and beyond. That's a 25-yard carry for Bryant, who might have been a little envious of Shannon Baker's rushing prowess.
Well, the shovel pass has become a staple as of late in the CFL. Doug Flutie does it with great efficiency in Toronto. This time, Ken Austin comes back with the shovel pass to Blaze Bryant, allowing him a time to pick up the seam, allowing the blocks to form down the field. But he does a great job with individual effort of running through Saskatchewan defensive backs.
Bryant lines up as a receiver. First down, and they give it to Lytle, the Notre Dame product, thundering inside the 50 to the 48. Bobby Jurison drags him down.
You know, this is what offensive linemen live for this time of the year, is the running game to come full circle. Chris Walby is one of those big advocates of it. You know, it's less work for him because all he has to do is lean forward, but they like to be able to push those defensive linemen back.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 63. It will be second down.
Oh, I guess he got a little overzealous. It's my fault. But the offensive linemen love to be able to keep the ball on the ground. It's easier for them, drive blocking, getting hooked up with a defensive lineman. You see Walby as he comes in late over the pile on Aaron Ruffin and takes the roughing penalty. Roughing, okay.
Now that brings it back to the Winnipeg side of half at the 47. And Austin throwing incomplete, looking for Lytle, who was covered by Tommy Smith.
You know, when you look at Ken Austin's passes now, I mean, he throws a beautiful spiral, but there's not much velocity on the football, and it's allowing the defenders to get that hand in and flick the football out just as it's arriving with the receivers. We've seen it a couple times on his slots, this time on Dean Lytle, his fullback, with the linebacker Tommy Smith covering.
Well, you can see the reaction at the Winnipeg bench that mental errors and I think wrong patterns are being run here that are causing the frustration that you saw from both Austin and Murphy. And now do they have a full complement on the field?
They have 11. They're a man short. Dean Lytle didn't run the right route, didn't get on the special team.
Yep, and he may hear about it.
Oh, with Cal on the sideline, he most definitely will hear about it. You just can't afford the mental mistakes, and especially at this point of the season, you're 12 games into the season, 13 games, you should know which special teams you're on by now.
But this was the example that he was talking about, guys, rookie players getting to game 12 and starting to hit that wall. We noticed yesterday when they go through all their specialty teams, they were having some problems getting the right complement on the field. Cameron's punt, and Ruffin took a hit, and that'll be a major penalty. That was Greg Clark, and obviously didn't give the 5 yards. And that could result in an injury.
But he's going to get the major 15 here. He looked like a truck coming down on the loose. Greg Clark, one of the better linebackers in the CFL. You don't hear a lot about Greg Clark because he's so consistent, but he is the defensive leader for Winnipeg.
No yards, Winnipeg number 58. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg number 58.
Yeah, that was more than no yards.
Yeah, he took exception. He had a clean run on the punt returner. Greg Clark and Greg Battle both played together at Arizona State. They were in the same linebacking core there, and they both have taken pass through Winnipeg. But Greg Clark is an outstanding linebacker regardless of the penalty. He is a guy that makes plays. He is always in the right position in coverage and on run plays.
Yeah, that was one of the players that Cal Murphy was most complimentary to today. Greg Clark's had an outstanding year, but that's a five-yard penalty and then 30 yards on the punt on one play that the Bombers took 3 penalties.
You know, I spoke about Jimmy Kemp not throwing the ball on time, and that's something that you have to do. When you're only 3-5 steps back in the pocket, you have to get rid of the ball on time because those defensive linemen are going to be right on top of you. And Jimmy Kemp is a perfect example. He took a 5-step drop. Charlie Clemens comes through, and he's able to get up in his face and bat down the pass.
So it's 2nd and 10 from the Winnipeg 50. Riders trailing by 9. And everybody moving.
Well, we're going to get K.D. Williams for offsides, and we may get a John Terry for illegal procedure. But K.D. Williams, once you cross into that neutral zone, this is not U.S. football as he's trying to indicate. You're offsides, and you have to get the 5-yard penalty. They can call offsetting, but Winnipeg has to at least get an offside.
Procedure, Saskatchewan number 51.
K.D. Williams instigated that, and as a defensive player in the CFL, if you cross into that neutral zone and you don't return back out of it, you have to be called offside.
Let's give Williams a striped shirt.
Bill Dole, the offensive line coach for Saskatchewan, suggesting that KD made that call.
Well, he's lobbying over there.
So 2nd and 15 now, right at midfield. Here comes the rush again, and Kemp got hammered, and the ball was dropped. Donald Narcisse had to reach back, had his hands on it, but it was jarred loose.
It would have been a miraculous catch if Narcisse had brought that one in, but a tremendous effort. Jimmy Kemp, once again, is taking a beating in the pocket. He has to deliver the ball quicker. He has to understand that Narcisse will be there when he makes the break and put the ball out in front where he can run and make the reception.
2:54 to go, first half. Kemp taking it on the chin.
It can be said that coming home has a lot of things going for it. There's the familiar faces of the home team itself, the people who know your Honda inside and out. And right now, to make coming home that much sweeter, a Civic or Accord replacement muffler is just $123, completely installed. So why open your hood to strangers? Bring it home to Honda.
I always said I'd introduce my sons to Bumper early. They're brand name parts. I mean, a repair's going to last. With Bumper to Bumper, you get no surprises. More than you can say about life.
Oh, Dad.
For my own car and my business, it's Bumper to Bumper.
Civilization. It's getting louder and louder. And all this noise is driving people crazy. Sound and Fury on Witness. Returning Tuesday night at 9.
What'll you do with the money you save during Speedy's 40th Anniversary Fall Savings Days? It's happening right now with big 40% savings on Speedy's top quality brake pads and shoes.
Sounds to me like an excuse for a night out.
Plus, you can also save 40% on Speedy's top quality mufflers, installed and guaranteed for as long as you own your car. Don't miss these great savings for a limited time only during Speedy's 40th Anniversary Fall Savings Days.
Speedy or somebody.
Well, lots of embellishing being done in Hamilton tonight as our colleague Dan Kepley and 4 others are being inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Kep will join us from Hamilton, and we'll see if Chris, James, and I can crack the code in the first half of this one that's seen the offenses go missing in action.
Well, maybe it's all in honor of Soupy Campbell and Danny Ray Kepley. Defense reigning tonight. All 3 touchdowns so far scored by the defense. And Shannon Baker trying to let it go in the end zone, and it will for the single point.
But that was a very good decision by Boyko to make sure that ball stayed in, because it looked like it might have bounded back out, and he pulled it back in and downed it for the single.
Yep. Brent Matich, a 55-yard single. I think the Riders would have been happier if it was a 54-yard punt that would have kept Winnipeg at the 1.
We speak about the frustrations of Donald Narcisse in the opening, and that last pass reception that he tried to come up with, that was a tremendous effort. Watch as the ball is behind him, and he adjusts his body in flight trying to make that reception, but that just shows you how great an athlete that Donald Narcisse is.
35-yard line.
Great veteran who has, well, went public this week, talked about wanting the ball more because he could help the team more than he has of late. There's great defensive play by Donaldson, who's solid on the corner for Saskatchewan.
Vincent Donaldson has really developed, and a tough thing, he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year, so that's going to create some concern for Saskatchewan. But watch his break and closing on the football as you see Austin under pressure. But the ball is not getting to the receivers with any velocity, and that is allowing Saskatchewan's defensive secondary to close on the football.
Ball at the 35, 2nd and 10. It's 20-12 for Winnipeg. And this is Lytle. Up to the 40, 41, but he'll be short, and Saskatchewan's going to get the football back before this half runs out.
Well, you know, you would think that Ken Austin would have more imagination in his play calling. The long-running CFL veteran, but his offense is no more imaginative than Saskatchewan's is right now, and he's showing frustration coming off the field because he hasn't been able to hit his open receivers.
So Austin goes back, and it's 3rd down. Cameron to punt. Then it's an 8-point Winnipeg lead. Clock running with 2:10 to go, but Saskatchewan has a chance to close this gap before the half.
They do, and they need to come up with a big play here with field position on the special team.
Here's Ruffin moving up, has it at the 40, and Greg Clark, first one down to make the tackle. 32-yard punt and just a 2-yard return.
You spoke about they need to come up with something, and they have an opportunity, but their best offense has been when their offense has been off the field tonight because their defense has got them on the scoreboard and given them great field position for other opportunities. Now Jimmy Kemp needs to throw the ball in rhythm, which he has not done here in the first half. He needs to throw the ball in that 2-second bracket, not allowing the defense to put the pressure on it.
Well, just 2 first downs so far for Saskatchewan. There's Mims, tries the left side. There's a hole, and Robert Mims out to the 50, has 9.
And in there, 72.
Well, I tell you, they pulled the offensive line. They did the counter trade where they got Hiscock and Mikowski out in front to get some blocking in front of Mims, and he was able to pick it up and pick up 9 on that run. But the guard, the off guard, and the off tackle doing a good job of blocking.
There are Mims' numbers, 3 100-yard seasons. And Mims trying for the first down, and he'll be close. I'm not sure he got there, though.
He didn't get there. He's going to come up at least a half-yard short on that try. But Saskatchewan has to go for it. They have the wind at their back. They need to find some way to gain momentum, and you can't give up the ball going into halftime, trailing at this point.
Well, the Green Riders sending the Elephant team on. Tim Edwards, Bobby Jurison, LeBryant Robinson. The defensive line will join the offensive lineman to block for Kemp and Mims on this 3rd down gamble.
Well, you got Jurison playing tight end along with Robinson playing tight end, and they're hoping that they want to throw the ball, but they're going to have to keep it on the ground and pick up the sure yardage this way.
1.5 minutes to play, 3rd and inches.
Well, Jurison's even in at fullback, so he'll be the lead blocker on this play.
And Kemp plunging ahead should have it.
He saw Willie Pless a couple of weeks ago take a handoff and get into the end zone. He was hoping that he would get a shot at it.
Yeah, he wants that football, you can tell.
Well, he's kind of jealous. His son is playing quarterback for the junior team, and they actually won their 9th consecutive game this afternoon. Bobby Jr. is the quarterback on that team, and possibly the best football player in the Jurison family.
Bobby playing his 175th game tonight. There's a pass over the middle. Just a short gain, maybe 3 on the play as Mayfield has his 2nd catch.
Even though it was a short gain, Chris, those are the type of passes that can keep Jimmy Kemp in this game. They can build his confidence because it's a quick pass, it's a safe pass, and there's not much threat of it being picked off.
2nd down and 6.
2nd and 6, a minute to play, first half. Good protection, and the pass incomplete. Again going to Mayfield. And that's now 3rd down for Saskatchewan.
I spoke about it a couple of series ago, and I have problems with the play calling of Saskatchewan. When you need to pick up 6 for a first down, why do you need to throw a 16-yard pass? go with the safe one. You just came with a short, safe pass over the middle. Jimmy Kemp elected to go 16 to the field, came up with an overthrow and an incompletion.
Boyko and Baker dropped deep. Last time Manich was out, he kicked a 55-yard single. This time the Bombers will likely try and run it out. Baker from his 15. And down at the 21 with 42 seconds to play, Darren Joseph. First man down, a 40-yard punt, 6 yards on the return. And Kent Austin with an 8-point lead. I guess the job right now is just don't make any mistakes in your own zone.
Well, you look at the score right now, and you would think that both defenses have played both great games, and it's the opposite turn of that table, that both offenses have really been ineffective in this game thus far. 21 points have come via interception returns or fumbles for touchdowns, but both offenses have been ineffective.
Draw play, Bryant. Tim Edwards had a shot at him, and Robinson is there as well, the two defensive tackles. Well, Winnipeg wanted to establish a running game. They have more yards in this first half than Saskatchewan has averaged against during an entire game this year, but yet it's been the kind of the trick plays, the fake punt and a reverse that had Cal Murphy smiling earlier.
It was the Shannon Baker show on both reverses by Ken Austin and Bob Cameron. Blaze Bryant did have the 122-yard run for a first down, but it has been the receivers carrying the bulk of the running for Winnipeg tonight.
And a familiar script for Jim Daly, whose defense has been outstanding for the past few weeks. He says, we've been good for 5 weeks, dominant for the last 2 defensively, and they have had a strong first half against Ken Austin.
But it goes back to that old adage, even iron wears thin, and how long can the Saskatchewan defense keep taking up for their offense?
Second down, and Bryant smothered in the backfield. A big play by LeBryant Robinson.
Well, I'll say they can take up at least one more play.
A couple of weeks ago against Ottawa, I thought Robinson was just outstanding.
Has been a very underrated defensive lineman, but I think as of late, a lot of people have really seen how good LeBryant Robinson is on the inside. He has become truly a dominant defensive force in the CFL at the defensive tackle position.
That was the similar play call that had Blaze Bryant's biggest gain of
the shovel pass, but that time he stayed at home, recognized what the blocking scheme was, and got in and was able to disrupt the play.
They went after Cameron, but the veteran got it away. Here's Ruffin at the 50, and he is fighting for extra yards, but is down now with 2 seconds to play. So Saskatchewan will get time to kick a field goal here.
And they have the wind at their back, so they're well within the range of Jaggers if they can just get it online. And this could be a great momentum builder for Saskatchewan going into the half.
Boy, you appreciate the second and third effort from Ruffin, but if he broke one more tackle, they might not have had time to try this field goal.
I'll tell you, the second and third efforts for Ruffin came from some assistance from Sheldon Benoit. As he was pulling him forward, not allowing him to go down, he was able to pick up an extra 7 yards with great team effort. And that's what you have to do on special teams, is that you look at that as a starting position. Benoit is a backup linebacker, but giving great effort, allowing his teammate to pick up the extra 7.
Jaggers 1 for 2 in the game, is only 6 of his last 12. And he will be attempting this from 45 yards out, and 45 is his longest of the year.
And you talk about 6 of his last 12. Going into that, he was 5 for 5, and he's been on a slide since that point.
So this should be the final play of the first half as Jaggers tries to get Saskatchewan within 5. And Jaggers misses it, and Boyko is going to run it out. So Jaggers now 1 for 3 in the game as the offense for Saskatchewan continues to sputter. And Saskatchewan here is an ominous stat, 0 for 7 when trailing at the half. And they'll go to the locker room trailing by 8 after 30 minutes here.
Well, they really haven't done anything offensively to put themselves in position to win this game. The defense has given great effort tonight, allowing them to stay in this game, but they're going to have to go in, rethink their game plan, and come out with a more concise offense. They have to limit the package for Kemp and keep him with the efficient passing down the middle of the field.
Still, this was a 17-0 Winnipeg lead midway through the first quarter, but we very much have a football game as Saskatchewan heads off, now trailing 20-12 at the half.
Well, Cal Murphy can't be too pleased with the lack of effort by his offense. And let's go to Scott.
All right, James, let's find out how Cal Murphy feels heading for halftime. Bombers lead. He joins us from the field. Cal, how concerned are you with their offense's lack of finish?
Well, you know, once again, we had a touchdown down there after we ran the reverse on the fake punt and just dropped the doggone ball. We should put the ball in the end zone, didn't get it in there.
Cal, how about Angelo Snipes? He was all the offense you required in the first half.
Well, yeah, but I think we're hustling and working hard out there, and if we keep on doing that, good things happen.
Cal, thanks for your time. I'll let you join your team. And so defense is the story of the first half in this one. The Bombers lead by 8. Stand by now for the B.F. Goodrich TA halftime report.
Welcome to the B.F. Goodrich TA halftime. Now, here's your host, Scott Hope.
30 minutes complete here at Taylor Field. Bombers lead by 8. Welcome now to the B.F. Goodrich TA halftime report. The most overworked word in pro sports is great, but there is a true measure of greatness in this game. It's called the Hall of Fame. Accomplish enough on or off the field, and a spot in the Hall awaits. Here is the class of '96. Hamilton businessman Frank Gibson served the Ticats for 33 years. He goes into the Hall as a builder. Bill Clark had 14 stellar seasons with Saskatchewan. For 8 of those, he played both ways and retired in '64. Al Benisic was one of the finest tackles ever to grace the CFL. He ruled Saskatchewan's offensive line for 10 years. Jerry Soupy Campbell had the best years of his football life in Ottawa as the heart and soul of a defense known as capital punishment. He led the Riders on and off the field, and he has 3 Grey Cup rings. In '75, a handsome young lad showed up in Edmonton, and Dan Kepley grew into the most dominant linebacker of his era. A consummate team player who did whatever it took. He helped the Eskimos to 5 straight Grey Cups before going on to a higher calling in the broadcast booth. Now Dan Kepley and Jerry Campbell join us from Hamilton, where they're taking their rightful place among the CFL's greats. First of all, do you two solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God?
Under the linebacker oath of promise and scholarship, yes, we do.
Right, the linebacker oath, I'm not sure what that's worth, but Jerry, your career was winding down when Cap came into the league. He was blossoming as you were preparing to retire, but you had 2 years in the CFL against him. From the first time you saw him play, did he have Hall of Fame written all over him? And I remind you, you're under oath.
Tell the truth, buddy.
He was all right. He was all right. He had some good people around him, and which is definitely key when you're a middle linebacker for sure.
Cap, you were what, 3 or 4 hours in CFL before you heard of Soupy Campbell?
Scotty, I was about probably 3 or 4 weeks before I figured out where Edmonton actually was, but it didn't take me very long to figure out Soupy Campbell, Mark Cosmos, and capital punishment. And when you did, you knew they were guys you needed to pattern yourself after.
Jerry, you're already a member of 4 sports halls of fame. How does this induction rank?
Woo! Oh, that
kind of sums it up.
Yeah.
We can smell
large.
That.
Can I say that? That's very large. This is the best. To put it into words, it's pretty tough because it's overwhelming for me now, and just enjoying the situation with Dano. I think it's a gas.
Cap, you're doing it up big tonight. You have your son Michael there, your parents, your brother in from North Carolina. How good do you feel?
Scotty, it's, after the late 70s and 80s and the things that we experienced with the Eskimos then, I thought that was the best they could ever get. But I think for the very first time in my whole life, I was wrong because this has got to be it. Tonight is very special, and being able to have some friendship and get to have the reunion in the fraternity of old linebackers and old athletes in this business is beyond words that I can say.
No kidding.
Kep, Jerry, thank you very much. Kep, from all your colleagues at CBC Sports, congratulations. You deserve it, as do you, Jerry. Thanks again.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
And Kep will double up this weekend, work tomorrow afternoon's telecast of the Hall of Fame game, Montreal at Hamilton. Here at Taylor Field, Winnipeg leads. The BF Goodrich TA halftime report will continue.
Like a 6 World Series, 6 basketball seasons, 6 hockey playoffs, 6 football seasons, and just 1 tune-up after 160,000 kilometers. Vortec engines, one more reason to drive a Chevy truck. Chevy trucks.
Koopmans Manufacturing has a great selection of unfinished furniture in solid birch Oro. Here, they're putting student desks through a strength test. Will they take the weight of this 24,000-pound Stelmart concrete truck? Koopmans furniture is not crumbling, smelly particle board. There's no buckling under stress, and the drawer's still open. So go and visit Koopmans Manufacturing Limited, 15907 100th Bay Avenue, a block south of Stony Plain Road.
You wouldn't expect the biggest mall in the world to be the most convenient mall in town. But West Edmonton Mall is. It's all color-coded by phase. So finding anything I want is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Go!
K97. We play better songs.
Little ditty about Jack and Diane. I can't get no satisfaction. They got a gun.
You don't need this. K97. We play better songs.
This perfect moment is brought to you each and every night by the Serta Perfect Sleeper. Serta, we make the world's best mattress.
Look, it's the world's first on-battery tester from Energizer. You just press the dots to make sure your battery will keep going and going. A battery like this deserves to be in the spotlight, preferably alone.
The Harvest Moon is out in Regina, and the Bombers lead by 8. It was an ominous start for Calgary against Ottawa last night. The Riders took an 11-0 lead at McMahon before the Stampeders came back, and this is how they did it. In the second quarter, Jeff Garcia cranked it up and hit Dave Sapunges on a 37-yard scoring strike that pulled the Stamps to within 4 points. In the final minute of the half, Allen Pitts to the rescue on this 5-yard toss from Garcia. It gave Calgary the lead, 14-12 at the half. It wasn't a hugely productive night on offense for the Stamps, but enough for a 24-17 victory, and the Stamps 4 up now on the Eskimos, who play the BC Lions tomorrow afternoon. Here are James and Chris to discuss the first half here at Taylor Field. You know, James, you and I and Chris talked yesterday, and we're concerned with the way these teams played last week. There might not be any highlights in the first half, but the defenses took care of that concern.
Well, I always don't mind talking about defense. It's great to talk about it. And when you look at Angelo Snipes, Cal Murphy said he's probably his best defensive player this year. He was able to scoop up the fumble, but watch as he slaps it ahead so that he can get a bead on it and pick it up and track it into the end zone for the first touchdown for Winnipeg tonight.
Leading sack man in the CFL, and now the leading scorer among defensive players with 2 touchdowns in that first half. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders got into the act. They got a defensive touchdown, too.
Bryce Bevel with the great read on Ken Austin. He jumped the hot route, batted it up in the air, pulled it down, got a block from a teammate, and took it to the house for 6 to bring Saskatchewan close.
we're going to see a little more desperation in the second half. It's been desperate times for both offenses, particularly Saskatchewan's. We'll see if Jimmy Kemp can outduel Ken Austin in the second half.
They need just a bit more imagination. They need to concise things a little bit more for Jimmy Kemp, shorten up the package.
And, James, we know that Reggie Slack, strong in relief for the Bombers. Should we expect to see him in the second half?
Well, he's best coming off the bench. Reggie Slack is a guy that you have, and when you have a veteran quarterback that's capable of starting, and Reggie Slack can pull it out for you.
All defense in the first half. Could be an even better game if the offenses show up in the second half, which isn't to say we don't appreciate great defense, James. Understand that. That's the B.F. Goodrich TA halftime report. Second half's coming up from Taylor Field.
B.F. Goodrich TA tires are for driving like no one else. B.F. Goodrich. Show them your true colors.
This September, AGT thanks our customers by bringing back our overseas long-distance sale. We're giving you special prices to special places. You'll enjoy our lowest price of the day all day Saturday. And if you're on the AGT Real Plus Savings Plan, you'll save even more. You save no matter how long you talk. So call your family and friends overseas every Saturday in September and save.
Donovan Bailey. World's fastest human. You may not break a world record in your lifetime, but that doesn't mean you won't break a sweat. Cut thirst in a powerful way. With Powerade Thirst Quencher, the official sports drink of the Olympic Games.
It takes years to teach all of the architectural details involved in building a new home. It's a heck of a lot more fun giving the darn things away.
Enter the 1996 Nate State Lottery and you'll have a 1 in 18 chance to win one of 2 fully furnished rebuilt homes or any of our 2,500 prizes, including 8 new cars and trucks, 33 vacations, and more. So give yourself a great chance to win and others a great chance to learn. The 1996 Nate State Lottery.
You'd be smart to get in on it.
Like a 6 World Series. 6 basketball seasons. 6 hockey playoffs. 6 football seasons. And just 1 tune-up after 160,000 kilometers. Vortec engines. One more reason to drive a Chevy truck. Chevy trucks.
The Saskatchewan legislature on a chilly early autumn evening in Regina, Saskatchewan, where the hometown Riders trail by 8 points as we get set to the second half, and the Green Riders will open the second half with the football and the wind as Troy Westwood prepares to kick it off.
Get ready, Van.
And this will be Rod Harris from his 21. Across the 35-yard line. 14-yard return. Let's check the numbers in the first half. Winnipeg with the edge in rushing, and the turnovers were a key to the first half on either side.
Well, I think the rushing yards was really the telltale part of the tape, because you think of what Shannon Baker did on those 2 reverses to give Winnipeg great field position and keep the ball out of Saskatchewan hands. The turnovers have been ugly and led to touchdowns for both teams.
Jimmy Kemp is at the controls. And the give to Mims, who was hit in the backfield, and John Kroenke wraps him up. Little or no gain, and here the quarterback stats, and pretty low yardage totals after 30 minutes of football.
I don't think those numbers will impress either coach on either sideline, but both of those quarterbacks need to find a way to find a rhythm for the team. These are the leaders, and these are the guys that you expect to go out and get the offense jump-started. Ken Austin, you expect him to have a little more productivity than Jimmy Kemp, but Jimmy Kemp also, on the other hand, when you're handed the starting job, you have to be able to move your team. Colin Scrivener is down after making that attempt on Robert Mims in the backfield. Looked like he may have injured his elbow or so.
There's Heath Rylance, who we thought would get the start. Now, we're told that Rylance is suffering with the flu right now, and that's why he is not in the game, but we should indicate to you that Heath Rylance suffered a concussion earlier this year, was expected to return to the lineup today, but did see the doctor yesterday because he has continued to suffer with headaches and the after effects of the concussion, and you wonder if that is all a factor in why Rylance is not playing.
Well, it could be a huge factor. I think the concussion that he suffered some time back in the Montreal game actually was his first professional start. But he came back last week against BC in his second start, but he took such a beating. He was hit often and consistently in BC last week, and it could have repercussions on that concussion.
And maybe could have some flu symptoms. Second down, Kemp with some time, throws the out and has a completion, but not enough for a first down as Dan Farley gets his hands on the football for the first time today. And they're going to mark that at the 44, a couple of yards shy.
You have to give yourself an opportunity to be able to pick up the first down, and that's what Jimmy Kemp is not doing. When you're throwing the ball to the far side of the field on the sideline, if your receiver comes up with the catch, he has but one choice, and that is to go out of bounds. If you throw it over the middle, he can run after the catch.
Now the receivers out there might be saying, shouldn't the receiver made sure he got to the first down stick? Here's Gulliford running back, and down he goes. Great battle. What a veteran, outstanding player, not just on defense, but a key on specialty teams too.
Well, just a tremendous athlete. When you think about him playing full effort defensively and then hustling down 40 yards on punt coverage and making an open field tackle on a speedy return man such as Gulliford, it shows that the tenacity that he has about playing this game of football.
We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, but Jim Daly said when he walked in the dressing room, the whole atmosphere of that Rider clubhouse changed. Flag is down, and now another flag comes down.
Couple of flags on the play.
Over the middle by Boyko.
Well, the first flag you're going to get Gulliford offside. The second flag is going to concern Tommy Smith and Blaze Bryant out in the flat.
One of the Boyko brothers, Allen for Winnipeg. Bruce, the fullback for Saskatchewan.
So we got illegal contact with an eligible receiver out in the flat, and we get offsides, so there should be offsetting penalty.
Procedure, Winnipeg number 84. Illegal contact on an eligible receiver, Saskatchewan number 24. First down repeated.
Okay.
First down and 5. The ball just over the 30-yard line.
Well, Saskatchewan has to wonder defensively how many opportunities they have to give their offense. They've done a good job tonight of containing Ken Austin in this Winnipeg offense.
Austin overthrowing Boyko near the Winnipeg bench, incomplete. And you're seeing why I think Ken Austin was quite honest yesterday when he said we are fortunate to be at 6-6. The injuries contributing to that.
Well, injuries will contribute to that, but also a quarterback has to take a big shell of that load also, and that burden, because he is the guy, is the leader. You bring a player in such as a Ken Austin, and you expect instant contribution from him, and he hasn't delivered.
Second and 5. Bryant will try and get it on the ground, and he won't get there. Blaze Bryant will be stopped at least a couple of yards short.
And you have Tim Edwards and LeBrant Robinson once again as a tandem, possibly the best two defensive tackles in the CFL. I know in Toronto they'll say Waldrop and Stewart, But here in Saskatchewan, LeBrant Robinson and Tim Edwards are second to none.
That defense continues to be tough to solve, and Cal Murphy is calling somebody off, as the Bombers almost had too many men. This punt alignment again. Ruffin on the run. No flag.
Cameron's punt taken by 33.
And Ruffin downed at the 45-yard line. A 31-yard punt by Bob Cameron.
A special welcome to all of you.
BF Goodrich TA tires are for driving like no one else. BF Goodrich. Show them your true colors.
Think of this string as your life. If you have diabetes, serious fluctuations in your blood sugar levels will not only determine how you live, but how long you live. At Shoppers Drug Mart, a Health Watch pharmacist can show you how to use a blood glucose meter, which can help you manage your blood sugar levels and reduce the chances of your life being cut short by the complications of diabetes.
Well, some people say they didn't hear about Ford and Mercury's last clear-out sale. Not a soul around. Oh, so no.
Alberta, are you listening? Stay calm. Ford is having a clear-out.
The Alberta Ford and Mercury Dealer 96 clear-out event with up to $1,500 in special package reductions, up to $1,000 cash back, and maxed-out factory incentives. Our 96s will clear out in a hurry.
Come on back for a smash!
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by BF Goodrich. Show them your true colors.
Harvest Moon, high above Taylor Field in Saskatchewan. Well, the Green Riders go to work. First down, up near midfield. Kemp looking for Farthing, has the catch, and Farthing has a first down in Winnipeg territory at the 50-yard line, but a flag down, and Jimmy Kemp is down.
And we're going to get a roughing the passer on Colin Scrivener. I mean, he really just leveled Jimmy Kemp, and the Riders really don't have a backup quarterback with Rylands out of the game, and Kemp's going to have to pull himself up.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Winnipeg number 72, first down.
Well, let's get an update on Heath Rylands from Scott Oak.
All right, Chris, you speculated in the first half that it might not be the flu that's holding Heath Rylands up, but the effects of a concussion he suffered a few weeks back, and the Riders confirmed for me that the flu is not a factor in Rylands not playing tonight. He went to the doctor yesterday for another cognitive test. He was medically cleared to play tonight, but Jim Daly says a couple of things that happened in the BC game gave him cause for concern, and so they've decided to hold him out for one more week. But if Kemp is hurt, they say Rylands can go in.
Must have been an anxious moment there with Kemp slow to get up after being roughed up by Scrivener.
Well, we'll get a perfect shot. Scrivener's right in the middle of the screen, and after the pass, he just grabs the quarterback and just body slams him to the turf. Looked like a wrestling move at WWF style, but that was totally uncalled for. And actually, it's kick-started the Saskatchewan offense, and they have a nice drive going here.
Second down, 6 from the Winnipeg 32. Rashawn Kemp looking for Farthing, who's stretched out and just thrown a stride too far for an open Dan Farthing.
I know Saskatchewan's going to go for the field goal here on third down, but with your offense struggling like it is, and Jaggers has not been able to kick a field goal here in the game, and that was just right over the fingertips of Farthing, why not go for it on third down? When your offense has been struggling, this has been your most productive quarter of the year. They're averaging just a bit over 7 points a game in the third quarter, 7.7 exactly. So they need to try to get a touchdown offensively.
I think they need their place kicker to nail one that he should be able to make from 39 yards out. And he does. A little unorthodox.
Well, he hit it like a nail.
Well, a lot of the points have been ugly tonight. But I think Mr. Curry has been in the Regina Casino, because that's a big gamble to have gone 3rd and 6, 4 minutes into the second half. Tomorrow, Montreal and Hamilton. The Tiger Cats, with that last-second win last week against the Ottawa Roughriders, take on the Alouettes at Iberwin Stadium, the Hall of Fame game, and Mr. Kepley will go back to work after a Hall of Fame induction night in Hamilton.
And congratulations, Danny Kepley. And I'll go back to that gambling point.
Here's Austin. Pump fake, looking deep. And let's see, we'll get a flag as the intended receiver was clotheslined, and now we've got a battle going on as Ken Austin took a late hit. That's Pandelitis and Edwards involved. LeBryant Robinson's in the neighborhood with Guy Earl.
I'll come back to that gambling point in a minute. But what we're going to get is Vincent Donaldson with an interference call down the sideline. We're going to get Pandelitis with an unnecessary roughness call. We're going to get Brett McNeil with an unnecessary roughness call. So after we wash all this out, Winnipeg will lose 15 on the play.
And we're also going to get Reggie Slack coming into the game as Austin gets attention on the field.
Now I can go back to my gambling point. When you're struggling offensively like Saskatchewan has been, you need to get on the scoreboard. And by getting on the scoreboard, the cause for that is to get some productivity from your offense. We'll get Black's call right here.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 57. Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 93. Forward pass interference. Saskatchewan number 24.
So the ball moves up 15 yards, and Reggie Slack enters the game. Here's the late hit.
Well, I don't know if that was a late hit right there. Bobby Jerson came in there, but McNeil came in and took exception. And what he's doing right there, that's what caused the flag. That's the first flag on Winnipeg. And then Pandelitis comes in and grabs a face mask, and they called Edwards as he was trying to gain his balance for unnecessary roughness.
Hence didn't like the pass interference call either, as Slack throws his first ball of the game, and it's over the head of the intended receiver. And that was Alan de Graffenried, and that's the first pass thrown his way in the game. Terrell Ulmer was in coverage for Saskatchewan.
Well, Reggie Slack has to come in off the bench without an opportunity to warm up, and so he's cold. They sent the play into the game so that he could get on the same page with everyone. Graham brought the play in, and Graham is their #1 draft pick that they've had high hopes for in Winnipeg.
Reggie's been super in relief this year. Also has started 4 games from Winnipeg, but he's been better coming off the bench. Here's that little shovel pass to Bryant, and he's outside. Blaze Bryant down the sidelines and out of bounds inside the 35, and we've got another flag down. Looked like a face mask as Bryant was hauled down after a 23-yard pickup.
And Saskatchewan is starting to self-destruct defensively. You look at the frustration of the Green Riders defense playing so many plays, and now they're making the mental errors, getting the flags thrown.
Major foul, face mask. Saskatchewan number 2.
Terrell Ulmer.
You'll get a good look as that right hand goes up into the cage of Blaze Bryant and grasped on as he rides him out of bounds. A lot of defensive backs always want to take on backs up around the shoulder pads. If you come in low, wrap up the legs and take them down, you avoid those types of penalties.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers trying to add to a 5-point lead. Slack dropping back and throwing it out to Dean Lytle, and Tommy Smith wraps him up and tosses him down. And Lytle right back up. Product of Notre Dame.
Well, it's getting very physical out there. We talked about emotion and a war of words going on between these two teams that last met here on Labor Day when Saskatchewan just demolished this Bomber team. and ran up their highest point total of the season. And now Winnipeg seems to have some momentum.
What were you talking about? Forever rivals? Montreal, Toronto, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg. It's heating up here. Here's Slack over the middle, and it's picked off. Terrell Omer with the pick for Saskatchewan. And another big defensive play in the football game as the resilient Green Rider defense stops Winnipeg.
You talk about bending and not breaking. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have done a marvelous job of holding this Winnipeg offense in check. Just when it seems that Winnipeg once again had gotten inside the red zone and would punch it in for a major, Almer comes up with the big interception, jumping that hot route over the middle as they did with Ken Austin and Bevel early in the first half. Now Almer returns the interception to the 6-yard line.
Third interception of the game for Saskatchewan. That's 26 interceptions thrown by Winnipeg this season.
And 2 of those interceptions have come in the red zone.
Jimmy Kemp changing the play call at the line. Robert Mims up the middle. Gives the offense a little more room to breathe. Gain of 5, it'll be 2nd and 5.
You know, we really haven't seen Jimmy Kemp be effective throwing the ball to all his receivers. Rod Harris has not caught a ball yet tonight. And this is a guy with big play potential. He was a 1,000-yard receiver back in 1993 and 94, but has been quiet tonight.
Kemp will go to the air, and that's incomplete. And he was looking for Harris for the first time tonight.
Well, it's back again throwing towards the sideline. And when you have a quarterback that's shorter stature like a Jimmy Kemp with those 6'4" and 6'5" offensive and defensive linemen in front of you, throwing to the sidelines means that you're throwing to the side of those players. And so if you drop back in the pocket and look between the seams that are naturally created up front, over the middle is generally going to be more kind to you.
3rd down, and Matic standing in his end zone with Baker awaiting. Low snap, Matic takes it off the carpet. And Gulliford has the ball. Oh, he's quick. And Gulliford drilled by Ferguson at the 48-yard line. 51-yard punt. 13-yard return.
This is the manager at CKCK Television.
There's still time to play the BF Goodrich TA Show 'em Your True Colors football contest. Tell us who's going to win today's game and by how much. You could win a set of 4 BF Goodrich TA tires or be eligible for a trip or 4 to the 96 Grey Cup. Lines are open till the end of the 3rd quarter, so call now.
In the old days, plumbing was pretty easy to understand.
But now,
at Home Hardware, we have over 900 neighborhood stores
with thousands of plumbing parts,
can help you solve just about any plumbing problem.
From the simplest
to the biggest.
And if things get out of hand,
we can help you there too.
Great price, friendly advice at Home Hardware.
And you remember to turn off the tap.
If the choice was yours, you'd wear something casual to work. But in reality, you have to wear steel-toed work boots. So you wear comfortable, lightweight Dakota Aggressor work boots with the safety you need and the all-day comfort you want. So, when work's finished, you're not. Dakota Aggressor work boots for men and women only at Mark's Work Warehouse.
There's still time to play the BF Goodrich TA Show 'em Your True Colors football contest. Tell us who's going to win today's game and by how much. You could win a set of 4 BF Goodrich TA tires or be eligible for a trip or 4 to the 96 Grey Cup. Lines are open till the end of the 3rd quarter, so call now.
Well, of all the places to play in the CFL, Taylor Field, it's likely the Bombers' least favorite. They usually lose here. Labor Day, a month ago, followed the form chart. Bombers falling 41-23. Since 1990, the Green Riders 5-1 against the Bombers here, 8-3 in their last 11 here. Last time the Bombers won here was 3 years ago, and then by a single point in the last-second field goal by Troy Westwood, Chris.
Here's Shannon Baker trying to change that, and Baker wrapped up by Bobby Jurison as the Green Wave wraps him up.
Shannon Baker looked like a turnstile after making that reception. He did everything he could trying to shake loose the Saskatchewan defense, but the pursuit, going to the football, and that's what you teach as a defensive coach. You have to have guys who are willing to go to the football, and he's dodging players, but every time he dodges one, there's another green jersey swarming.
You know, it's amazing. The Saskatchewan defense, 5th in the CFL out of 9 teams in yards allowed defensively, but consider the time they're on the field.
And their offense is last.
2nd and 11. It's swung out over the head of Lytle. Incomplete, and it's 3rd down. And now in the last 6 series for the Blue Bombers, 5 punts and an interception.
Just to go back to that point you were making about them being 5th in the league, Saskatchewan defensively, and their offense being last. Just think if they had some offensive productivity, where this defense would be. They play about 60% of the game on the field, and that's too much time to ask for your defense to be out there. But you got a lot of heart and determination in the Saskatchewan defense, and they're willing to play the time that they're called upon.
Tell you what, we just had that shot from the seats. A lot of heart and determination in the Taylor Field stands as well. Great fans sticking with this team despite the tough times right now. Here's Ruffin. Wrapped up at the 16-yard line. Paul Robson in on the stop for Kevin Robson, Paul's son.
Family thing.
And Dallas Raisavi up on a limp after the 39-yard punt and a 6-yard return.
He got Ruffin slammed over the back of his legs as he was trying to make a block. You'll see Ruffin roll over the back of his legs, and Robson right there also as he was planted, but he was able to get up and walk off under his own power. Now Jimmy Kemp, once again, will he understand what he's facing defensively? Will he be able to pick up a couple of first down for Saskatchewan?
Starting deep, 6:20 to go, 3rd quarter. They trail by 5. Robert Mims, good burst by Mims. And Mims up close to the 30-yard line. That's his best run of the game, 14 yards for the 1,000-yarder. And the leading rusher in the CFL this year.
Robert Mims consistently churning up the yards, and that is the best coming off the ball by the offensive lineman. We look, there's only been 3 running backs in the history of the CFL to gain 1,000 yards with 2 teams, and all 3 have played here in Saskatchewan as we get a look at that board.
Mike Strickland, Mike Saunders, and Robert Mims. There's Kemp over the middle. There's Mayfield drilled as he caught the ball right at the line of scrimmage.
Mayfield, number 89.
And it will be 2nd and 10. Mayfield has not been able to spring loose for the big one as he did on September 1st when he had touchdowns of 87 and 95 yards.
Well, Kemp's arm was actually hit as he tried to deliver that ball by Charlie Clemens as he came around. You'll see right here, just as he gets that elbow, Charlie Clemens extending himself. A great defensive effort.
Damian Lyons matched up against Mayfield. Over the middle it goes, and it's in and out of the hands of Rod Harris. Gerald Vaughn on coverage jarred the ball loose, and it's 3rd down.
But Kemp has to deliver the football. He is trying to just touch and float that in there. You have to put some zip on the football if you're going to throw it. You got defensive backs closing. You can't lob the ball over the middle because the receivers will catch it. But if you serve it up like that, I don't know if he watched the Winnipeg game last week when Shannon Baker took the shot from Trent Brown, but that's what defensive backs lick their chops for, is when a quarterback is just going to lob it out there and you can get killed.
Matic, not a great kick, and no yards will be the call as Boyko hustles and catches it on the dead run and catches Saskatchewan in that restraining area.
Jamaican Sun, number 4A.
There are over 1,000 new paint colors at your neighborhood home hardware.
We make every can ourselves.
Luscious, soft, alluring.
Pink, Interlude, 19A.
Vital.
Passion, 15A. I like that color.
Get the colors you like at Canada's paint experts.
Great price, friendly advice, that's called hardware.
No, son, I like that.
Gotta see this.
love it here.
Wow, look at that.
When someone is careless, we all pay the price. Learn how to prevent forest fires. And if you see smoke or fire, call 427-FIRE-COLLECT. Forest fire prevention. It starts with you.
It's my time.
I'd rather be teaching my parents, say.
My name is Antonio Banderas.
What you do with your life is your business.
I like that.
Making it easier for you to have one is ours. Wireless communications from AGT Mobility, helping you manage the business of living.
All the AG Hair Care representatives.
Well, the Snipers set the tone early, hopping on a loose football in the end zone for a Winnipeg touchdown, then a 44-yard field goal by Troy Westwood. And Angelo Snipes liked the first touchdown so much, he recovered another for a TD before Frank Jagas got Saskatchewan on the board, and then the interception by Bryce Bevel of Saskatchewan to get him close. Westwood another field goal. Since then, a Jagas single and a Jagas field goal. It's a 5-point Winnipeg lead. Reggie Slack in relief of Ken Austin as Blaze Bryant can't get outside against Greg Battle. Just in the break, we were saying that Winnipeg had seemed to get away from that running game again. Just 2 yards in the second half rushing the football, and they had passed it on 6 consecutive plays until that carry.
Well, I guess when you have that triangle of Greg Battle, LeBrant Robinson, and Tim Edwards, it kind of discourages you from wanting to run the football. Those 3 individuals have had a great game tonight in shutting down the Winnipeg running attack inside.
No gain for Bryant. 2nd and 10 over the middle. Bryant has the catch. And Blaze Bryant comes up with a big catch from Reggie Slack for a first down. Tommy Smith with the tackle, and that's cause for concern for defensive coordinator Greg Marshall. 25 yards.
Regular. Where's the ball, Richard?
Well, what happened, they caught him in a blitz. David Bellingham came on a safety blitz from the right side of the formation. You'll see him at the bottom of your screen. That means that there's no inside support because Bevel had to go back and play free safety, so they were a halfback short, and Reggie Slack recognized it, picked up the first down.
First down Bombers. Short drop over the middle. That's another completion. And Sean Graham has a 16-yard pickup and carried Bevel for a few of those yards.
Reggie Slack has been his most effective this season in coming off of the bench. He's been able to sit down on the sideline, analyze what Saskatchewan has done defensively, has great recognition coming into the game, and he's been very effective here in the second half since subbing for Ken Austin.
Slack 5 for 8, 69 yards. That one interception, the real black mark on his record right now, and there's Lytle stopped by Bobby Juritzen.
And once again, it's tough treading up in the inside of that Saskatchewan defense. Edwards, Robinson, Juritzen, Battle, Smith, Rasevich, they're not giving up an inch inside.
Well, a couple of times in deep, Winnipeg has turned it over. Saskatchewan just thinking right now that 3 won't hurt, but the touchdown could be devastating as Edwards is down.
Riders thank the Crown Life Lions.
Well, you can see by the sweat on his jersey there, the effort that he's been putting forth. And it's a very chilly night here in Saskatchewan. And with perspiration like that coming from Tim Edwards, you know he's been a full workhorse tonight.
Actually sat him down for a short time last week when he went offside 3 times in the opening quarter.
And that still amazes me how defensive linemen can jump off sides, especially when you're playing inside and you're sitting there in the quarterback and the football's right in front of you. Just watch the football.
Well, Chris, Ken Austin just confirmed with Reggie Slack. He fell on his right shoulder earlier in the half, and he's tweaked it a bit. They're not concerned that anything's separated or torn, but we're waiting for it to settle down to see if he could go back in. My guess is, though, that if the Bombers score in this drive, Ken Austin will not play again this evening.
Well, Austin and Cal Murphy look on, and Reggie Slack is looking at 2nd and 5 from the 5-yard line.
Well, they've been in the red zone twice tonight and came up empty. This is the second time here in the second half that they've been in this position. Last time down here, Terrell Almer came up with the interception. Saskatchewan is looking for one more big defensive play from their defense in the red zone.
Actually, I got the answer on why Edwards was going offside from Jim Daly. He said he told Edwards this week, just lay off the ginseng.
Oh, okay. Said he was cranked up?
Just a little bit high. 2nd and goal. The pitch plays Bryant. And Bryant near the goal line. No indication now. It's a touchdown.
Winnipeg.
Bryant went airborne from about 4-yard line and just catapulted himself into the end zone for the touchdown.
So this time the Winnipeg Blue Bombers convert.
You see with the toss right here, Smith makes contact and he lands with the ball across the stripe, and that's all you have to do is get the ball on the stripe and you have a touchdown. Winnipeg's able to punch it in from the 5.
First offensive touchdown of the game and the first touchdown of the season for Blaze Bryant. Westwood adds the extra point. And the Blue Bombers have a 12-point lead with 1:29 to go in the 3rd quarter.
Well, this is what Winnipeg wanted to do, was to establish the running game. And when you get inside that red zone, you have to be able to run the football. The big guys up front have to be able to drive people off of the football. And that time, the Winnipeg offensive lineman got a great surge. Chris Walby, Dean Lido, Bobby Pangelitis got a great blocks up front. Bryant leaped over the top for the touchdown.
3rd Bomber touchdown of the game, the first by the Bomber offense.
Well, the defense has been sitting over there and said, hey, we set the tone. Now all of a sudden all you have to do is follow our cue and punch it in.
Well, Bryant had that great year in '94. 1,289 yards, 10 touchdowns, caught passes for 541 yards that season, and then tore his knee up near the end. He had the big catch to set up that winning score or touchdown as well.
That season when he gained those yards, he only played in 16 games, Chris.
Westwood kicking it off. And Rod Harris has it. Harris breaks one tackle, and Rod Harris, with his best return, then dropped the ball, but Saskatchewan got back on it. Boy, a turnover there might have been fatal. Looks like Brooks Finley up with the ball, so Bryant can sit down. So 5 plays in the drive. There was the big catch by Bryant, and then he capped it with the 5-yard touchdown run.
Jimmy Kemp needs to show some leadership ability now for the Riders. They've been struggling offensively. They've had no effort from him tonight.
He's in trouble. K.D. Williams with the sack off the blind side.
And it goes back to the point that I made earlier. If you're going to take a 3- and 5-step drop, you have to throw the ball on time. You can't sit there and try to check out of it. You'll see he takes this 3-step drop. He doesn't release the ball. He's set up for a sack because the offensive lineman is expecting that the ball will be gone. And so they're not holding those blocks for any length of time.
Sack number 4 for KD, is first of the game. Well, this is what Jim Daly talked about with us, the learning curve, the growing pains of a young quarterback who is learning under fire, just like Kevin Mason and Heath Rylance. And Kemp, incomplete. Now, we made the point yesterday to the coach that this is a guy that's been around for a couple of years, but Jim Daly's answer to that is he hasn't been in our camp, and he hasn't been the prime guy taking the snaps in practice week after week. And so he really does lump Kemp in with Rylance and Kevin Mason.
Well, you go back and you think about it. He spent 3 years in the CFL. He spent some time in Sacramento, San Antonio, Montreal prior to coming here. And he's had 5 starts prior to the start tonight. So he should have some seasoning under his belt.
Hadich kicks it away. Shannon Baker. And Baker outside to the 28. 7-yard return after a 44-yard punt on the final play of the third quarter. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers with a 12-point lead here at Taylor Field.
BF Goodrich TA tires are for driving like no one else. BF Goodrich. Show them your true colors.
Hi, sweetheart.
What does it take to get a beautiful smile? A little patience and some Trident. Because Trident with Denzac is proven to prevent cavities by up to 62%. After all, a smile is a precious thing. Even if it's just developing. Trident, the first gum recognized by the Canadian Dental Association.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by BF Goodrich. Show them your true colors.
Fourth quarter at Taylor Field about to begin.
You know, we've talked about illegal contact with receivers. At 15 yards, Damon Lyons is holding on to Curtis Mayfield. The official has to understand that because he was the primary receiver in the route. He is complaining to the official, and the official is saying it's okay to be grabbed at 15 yards down the field.
From the 27.
Bombers with the football and the handoff to Blaze Bryant.
21.
Up to the 34.
And now you can see the effect of this Winnipeg running game starting to turn up the yardage against this Saskatchewan defense. Tim Edwards is not in the lineup right now, so they have lost one of their stalwart defensive tackles. And so Winnipeg feels that this is a point that they can take advantage of the inside of the Saskatchewan defense.
Bryant 31 yards on 11 carries, and he has catches for 72 yards, and Bryant getting the ball again. And he will be close to a first down, and the sticks are moving.
Well, this has been a rich history as far as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers go. They've always had a very solid running game, and this is what they need if they're going to get into that playoff stretch run.
First down, Bombers at the 38. Slack in relief of Austin. Lytle trying to get outside, can't turn the corner. Greg Battle was up there. Aaron Ruffin to make sure he couldn't turn it upfield. Look at that, 5 first downs for Saskatchewan through 45 minutes of football.
There's just no way that you can stay in a football game with only 5 first downs. The defense has done all that they can trying to keep it close, but with only 5 first downs, that means 2 plays and out on a lot of series. And Greg Battles, even though it's been 2 plays and out for the offense, he has made sure that he's getting his full worth on his paycheck tonight.
Well, this is a big play for Saskatchewan's defense. 2nd and 9. Slack the long out to Boyko, and Boyko won't have a first down. He was drilled by Vincent Donaldson at the 45-yard line. He'll be short of the first down.
And that's a marvelous play by Donaldson. People say, well, it's just a tackle, but it's an open field tackle by a defensive back. Because if you miss, there's no one behind you. And he came up and he made sure that he wrapped up on Boyko and drove him out of bounds.
Cal Murphy's team sprinted off to a 17-0 lead in the first quarter on the strength of 2 touchdowns by Angelo Snipes.
You know, he's been known as a great pass rusher over the years, but now they have to call him Angelo the touchdown maker.
Cameron fielding the low snap and kicking it high into the breeze. Rod Harris finds a hole. Here's Rod Harris up to the 35-yard line. Saskatchewan needs a little bit of life, and they get it from Harris on a 19-yard return after the 50-yard punt by Bob Cameron.
I'm doing medicine here no one's ever dreamed of.
If you had the power to heal,
A man died on my table, and I don't have the faintest idea why.
what would you do?
You can cure cancer by killing one person. Wouldn't you have to do that?
What would you risk?
They're taking people and using them for some kind of research.
You need human subjects, and most of them will die.
How far would you go?
You're not God. You'd better think about that.
You ran Gene Hackman, Extreme Measures. At theaters now.
This September, AGT thanks our customers by bringing back our overseas long-distance sale. We're giving you special prices to special places. You'll enjoy our lowest price of the day, all day Saturday. And if you're on the AGT Real Plus Savings Plan, you'll save even more. You save no matter how long you talk. So call your family and friends overseas every Saturday in September and save.
Pronto, ciao, mamma.
Ciao, Marco.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by AGT, the best long distance, period.
Chris Cuthbert, James Curry, Scott Oak, and the CFL on CBC crew from Taylor Field in Regina, where the Saskatchewan Roughriders are trailing by an even dozen with 12:24 to play. There's a couple of old friends, Mike Roach and Jim Daly, once coached together with the Ottawa Roughriders, and when the Gleibermans insisted on Dexter Manley playing for that team, those two departed from the Riders. And some wondered if they would get jobs again, but they landed on their feet and have done good jobs with their respective teams.
And you really have to respect those two coaches because they stood up for the principles of what coaching stands for. The best player plays, and one of those players was LeBrant Robinson, who is out here tonight, who has become one of the best 2 or 3 defensive tackles in the entire CFL, was the player who was going to lose his job because of the Dexter Manley ordeal, but has proven to be one of the best players in the CFL.
2nd and 9, Saskatchewan. Here comes the rush, and Kemp just got it away before he was leveled again. And K.D. Williams is starting to tee off in this second half.
And what happens with young quarterbacks is that they get into a rhythm cadence, and that's what Kemp has gotten into. He has gone into this long snap count. He is allowing the Bombers to time up their blitz. You have to be willing to come up sometime and go on the first sound, and Kemp has not done that, and he has allowed Winnipeg to get into a rhythm defensively.
And that's what happened last week, according to Coach Jim Daly with Heath Rylance. They were going on the same snap count, and the Lions were just teeing off. That was Bobby Evans who took the clean shot on Kemp that time. Here's Boyko trying to run back, and oh boy, did he take a lick. Rick Walters with an enormous hit on Alan Boyko and a loss of 3 on that return. And Boyko might not know what stadium he's in right now.
Well, I'm amazed that he's even getting up. Brooks Finley comes down and gets the first rap on him, but Rick Walters had a clean shot on him and just drills him helmet to helmet.
Whoa. Boy, there have been some huge hits in recent weeks in the CFL.
This has become a very violent game over the years. Football is not a tennis match. It is not for the weak in heart.
Boyko not only getting up, but staying in.
He might not know he's in.
A little dump pass over the middle, falls incomplete.
Because he was the widest guy on the formation. He just walked over to the sideline. They didn't even bother to cover him. They tried that little underneath slip screen once again to Blaze Bryant, but read very well by the Saskatchewan defense to stop it.
Last guy back to the huddle was Boyko. And now he'll come out wide to the right. Reggie Slack relieving Ken Austin, who was knocked out with a slight shoulder problem here in the second half. Slack, lots of steamboats, and he goes to Boyko, who couldn't hang on over the middle. Defensively, Vincent Donaldson for Saskatchewan,
who has played a very solid game tonight. Chris Walby down, the massive offensive tackle for the Bombers. He's up now. But Vincent Donaldson covering Boyko on that slant route, able to get that left hand in and deflect it. Defensive backs often are gauged on the number of interceptions that they get during a season. You have to look at the overall package, tackles, knockdowns, and the times that you don't go into his area. And he is a very solid cornerback in this league.
A lot of corners like Donaldson who don't have the big interception numbers because the quarterbacks don't like to even throw in their area. Donaldson's in that category.
I've always thought of a guy with a lot of interceptions as an easy guy to pick on. You know, every now and then, even a blind squirrel will find an acorn. And that's what happens when you have a guy with a lot of interceptions.
Bob Cameron booms another, and Ruffin from his 31. Dances a bit before he's drilled down. 4-yard return. Wade Miller, one of the first men down. And Bob Cameron ties Ron Lancaster for third on the all-time list of games played with this performance tonight.
Yeah, but they got to throw out that number 1 and number 4 position because neither one of those guys are football players. Durrell and Lancaster played every play.
Well, you know what's funny is Bob Cameron admits that. He says, I'm just a kicker. And that's where the quarterback or the comparisons with Ron Lancaster end, although he was once a quarterback at Acadia University.
Acadian Rocket.
Jimmy Kemp throwing, completing, and a big pickup by Rod Harris.
Now that is the first pass that Kemp has thrown tonight with any authority on it. He ran back and gunned the ball out to Rod Harris, the guy that we spoke about not getting any work. That time he put some mustard on it. The ball got there in a hurry. Harris was able to pick up the first down.
16 yards for Harris, who came into the game with 45 catches on the year.
Now, if he's willing to consistently throw the ball with some mustard on it, he can get some things going.
Out of the backfield, Mims. Bobby Evans was there, and so was Keedy Williams to wrestle him down. And that's a stop behind the line of scrimmage. Well, there's Scott Pooch Hendrickson, the Saskatchewan center. And his injury was a costly one for the Green Riders. It meant a couple of changes on that offensive line. They think he might be back next week, but right now Paul Vida had to move from the guard spot into center to replace Hendrickson.
He suffered that injury in the Toronto game, and it's taken longer than expected to get back, but he hopes to be back next weekend.
2nd and 9. Over the middle, incomplete, behind Dan Farthing.
And if you notice how Winnipeg was able to time up their blitz on Kemp's cadence, they read him perfectly. They got to the line of scrimmage just as the snap was taking place and was able to get in his face and disrupt the pass.
KD a little slow to get up. 8:43 to play, fourth quarter.
You know, when you have a snap count called, you'll see the ball being dropped, and it was behind Farthing. There was not much he could do. When you see the blitz coming, just take that extra second to pause. Those defensive players will jump into that neutral zone, and you got a free play.
Matic, the low kick into the wind, gets a great bounce. That's Shannon Baker picking it up. And Baker finds a seam. Shannon Baker over the 30-yard line and drilled at the 32. But a good return by Baker. 22 yards after a 50-yard punt by Brent Manage.
This is one of the most amazing things in the world. You can cut it, shape it, fasten it together, make just about anything you want out of it, and be really proud of what you've done. At Home Building Centers, we buy big, with more stores providing building supplies to people all across Canada. No matter how big a job you're facing, we can help you handle it. Home Building Centers, we've got your lumber.
You recently received this brochure in your mailbox. And tickets are going fast in the Edmonton General, Grey Nuns, and Misericordia Hospital Foundation's home lottery. There are 2,280 prizes in total, including 3 grand prize show homes in Twin Brooks by Jamin Master Builder and an incredible early bird prize package. Tickets are available by calling 424-2112 in Edmonton or 1-800-661-5109 elsewhere in Alberta or at any of these outlets. Thank you and good luck.
This perfect moment is brought to you each and every night by the Serta Perfect Sleeper. Serta, we make the world's best mattress.
If you're self-conscious about your chipped or uneven teeth, fixing it is easier than you think. Just ask your dentist and add more style to your healthy smile.
We've got the Hall of Fame game tomorrow. The Alouettes in Hamilton to face the Tiger Cats, with the Cats hoping for a share of second place with Montreal. And don't forget, Forever Rivals coming up tomorrow night on the full CBC network provides a rare glimpse into the great Canadian game and examines the intense rivalry between the Leafs and Canadians. All of us growing up, Chris, had to be either a Montreal or a Toronto fan. Which were you?
I'm the more of the suffering variety. What is it? Since '67, the Leafs' last Stanley Cup, it was, I think, Montreal's won 10 Stanley Cups
in that time span.
Leafs haven't won since the centennial year.
Well, I think there's 2 things that are constants in Canada. You have constant Leaf fans and you have constant Roughrider fans. And both have persevered through tough and lean times.
But like the Saskatchewan fans, you relish the glory years, and the Leafs 4 cups in the 60s and great years in the 40s and the 50s. There's Slack, flushed out, hit from behind, but got it to Blaze Bryant. Aaron Ruffin meeting Bryant at the 45, but that's a first down. 7:45 to go. And this defense called upon again to stop the Bombers and give the offense another chance.
And the success of that play came from the mobility of a Reggie Slack, because if he didn't have the mobility, he would not have been able to elude a couple of those defenders and get out and buy the extra time for Bryant to get open in the flat and eventually pick up the first down.
Well, Bryant has been used a lot more successfully in the second half and has been more dangerous as a receiver in this game. There's a pass knocked down by Ulmer. Nice play as he was matched up against Alan de Graffenried. And de Graffenried doesn't have a catch in the game, and Ulmer is having a conversation on the Winnipeg bench, and somebody's going to get flagged, and I'm not sure who it is, but it looks like Ulmer, and if it is, that's a real costly penalty.
Yeah, but I have a problem with that with the officials also. Your game is to officiate what's going on in between the hash marks.
Objectionable conduct, taunting, Saskatchewan number 2. First down.
Now, if you're going to call taunting, you got to call taunting on the sideline also, because it's as much jawing going on the other side of that hash mark. And if officials stick to the job of officiating what goes on in between the hashes, they may be more efficient, because they've missed several key calls tonight. And stay out of the jawing contest, because that's their ego getting in the way of the football game.
Yeah, you could march the ball up and down the field for taunting penalties in a lot of CFL games. It's a pass over the middle and a completion, because Ruffin has his man wrapped up.
If they're calling taunting by the book, that every time there's a completion or a guy gets up off the ground after a great hit, that is taunting. So walk away from that as an official. Turn your back. There's no one being hurt on the play. It's just some feathers being ruffled, and it's just words.
Now, if the official is being taunted, or a similar situation to what we saw in the baseball game yesterday involving Roberto Alomar, then you've got a different story.
Yeah, if you're verbally abusing an official, then let him take place in the plate. But if this play is going back and forth, leave that alone. That's part of the football game. That's the emotion that we talk about in playing. The game takes on a broader spectrum than that.
But that taunting penalty has now extended this drive by 2 first downs.
Well, you heard a great defensive effort by Saskatchewan in making a foolish call like that. And that's the official really overstepping his own bounds.
Now Winnipeg first down at the Saskatchewan 40. Under 6 minutes to play. And Blaze Bryant turns it outside. Gets around the corner. And he's finished off by Ruffin. And there is a flag on the opposite side of the field.
Coming over here, 93, Tim Edwards. Flag on the play.
Reggie Slack indicating it's offside Saskatchewan.
Well, this is a big decision for Winnipeg. Do you take the play? Well, it's not really a decision. You'll take the 5 yards on the penalty. It was only 5 yards on the run.
Offside, Saskatchewan number 99.
Tommy Smith called offside.
And you can see the Saskatchewan defense wearing down from the time that they've spent on the field tonight. They've put in a great defensive effort, but they haven't got any support from their offense. And I understand that they're understanding about the growing pains, but it's also frustration pains for the defense.
Here's Lytle, and Jurison gets his arms around him and takes him down after a couple of yards. Maybe not even that. Boy, Bobby Jurison's a warrior. 11 years playing in his 175th game.
And he's seen promising times and he's seen lean times here with the Riders. He's been there when they were on top and he's been here when they've been on the bottom. But Bobby Jurison has been a consistent in the defense for the Riders.
32 years of age and now looking at his team being in the midst of a rebuilding program on offense. 2nd and 3, the pitch to Bryant. Flag down as Bryant upended before he got close to the first down yardage.
Well, you're going to get Guy Earl, who just flew off the line of scrimmage and grabbed one of the defensive players up around the head. So that was an easy one for the officials.
Holding, Winnipeg number 63.
Well, you got 2 of them. You got Walby and Earl.
4:34 to play. They'll move it back. 10 yards, and it'll be 2nd down, 13 to go.
Well, when Walby grabs someone, it's very hard to miss. He's one of the more larger men in the entire league, standing around 6'8" and 330 plus, whatever he had for dinner.
At 243 yards and penalties in this game. Sock will go to the air, over the middle, and the catch is made. Sean Graham with the catch, low to the turf. Graham out of UBC in his 2nd year, has 14 on the pickup.
You know, there's been a big difference in the pass delivery since Slack has come into the game versus Austin in the first half. The ball has gotten to the receivers a lot quicker. You see Graham played with Vince Danielson, a slot back in Calgary at UBC. Danielson was a quarterback before converting to a slot back in his senior season at UBC, and they're both here in the CFL. Graham has not developed as fast as they'd hoped here in Winnipeg, but he has a very promising future.
Well, they've just come up short.
And this is a waste down. Well, no, it's 3rd down, so it's not a waste down, but it's a good opportunity for Winnipeg to keep the ball going, and if they can pick up a 1st down here, they'll get close to that 3-minute warning, and it's going to be very limited for Saskatchewan at that point.
So 3rd and less than a yard. And some movement on either side of the line.
We're going to get motion. 57 McNeil, who jumped the snap, and he's going to cost Winnipeg 5, and so they're going to have I'd like to replay this. They're calling Saskatchewan offsides. Now, you watch the left offensive tackle for Winnipeg.
Saskatchewan went first.
Offside, Saskatchewan number 74.
I have a hard time seeing when Saskatchewan be called offsides when you have an offensive lineman a half-yard pass before the snap is taken. It's been a tough one for Saskatchewan tonight, even with the officials.
Another veteran, Dan Rashovich. 13 years, 10 with that Saskatchewan defense. A first down after the penalty. Lytle up the middle, and he has 4 more. And they're chewing up the clock and putting a stranglehold on this game. The Bombers had won just 1 of their last 4 coming in, but are ready to avenge that September 1st loss here at Taylor Field.
Want to go freeze it right here. You got this guy sitting here way offsides, McNeil, and you're calling Saskatchewan offside. And this is an offensive tackle. Before the snap, he is across the line of scrimmage, and you call the defense offsides.
Here's the pitch to Bryant. And Blaze Bryant wrapped at the 20. And that will bring up 3rd down. Rashovich there. And with under 3 minutes to play, we'll have a timeout on the field.
There's no snobbery with the radio. Something about it feels very comfortable. These are the kinds of people I would like to talk to, like having coffee with, or have my...
This September, AGT thanks our customers by bringing back our overseas long-distance sale. We're giving you special prices to special places. You'll enjoy our lowest price of the day all day Saturday. And if you're on the AGT Real Plus Savings Plan, you'll save even more. You save no matter how long you talk. So call your family and friends overseas every Saturday in September and save.
Pronto, ciao, Mom. Ciao, Marco.
In the old days, plumbing was pretty easy to understand.
But now,
at Home Hardware, we have over 900 neighborhood stores
with thousands of plumbing parts.
We can help you solve just about any plumbing problem.
From the simplest
to the biggest.
And if things get out of hand,
we can help you there too.
Great price, friendly advice at Home Hardware.
Did you remember to turn off the tap?
Asphalt. Gravel. Mud. Water. They'll eat just about anything.
The General Grabber AP. Available at Tire Craft. With more than 90 stores in Western Canada to serve you.
General Tires. They eat the competition's lunch.
It's on the clock. Back at Taylor Field, Troy Westwood has come on to attempt the 27-yard field goal. This is a big drive for the Bombers with 2:56 to play. 9 plays. They've traveled 55 yards. There's been 4 penalties. And most importantly, they've chewed up 5.5 minutes off the clock. And Westwood nails the field goal. So Cal Murphy and the Bombers have a 15-point lead.
Since that tree began growing, I've seen a lot of changes. But one thing that will never change is Bumper to Bumper's commitment to service, quality, and value. It's nice to know there are still some things you can count on. Bumper to Bumper for all your car and truck needs.
When you see the flashing red light, please pull over. A message from the Canadian Association of Firemen.
Let's enjoy it while we can. Let's enjoy it while we can. Won't you help me sing my song? Help me sing my song. When your lovers once again take the bright side of the road.
Introducing the all-new Toyota Camry. Take the bright side of the road.
Get your new Arctic Cat early and get the sled you want, the best deals, and of course, a good night's sleep.
Well, a crushing blow to any playoff aspirations that the Saskatchewan Roughriders still had. Down by 15 with 2:34 to go in this game. 30-15, the Bombers have the lead.
Well, I think the most crushing blow of all of what they've experienced is the lack of offensive production. And you see it right here. Only 6 first downs to 12 punts. 2-to-1 punts to...
Oh, Jimmy Kemp was sandwiched. That's a free football, and John Krupke's on it. And Kemp going to have trouble getting up from that.
But that goes back to the point that I made about Jimmy Kemp. If you're gonna throw the ball on time, and that's what you call, you gotta let it go. You can't sit there and hold the football, because these defensive linemen are not gonna sit back and say, well, you didn't get your first read, I'm gonna give you a second. You'll get a perfect look at it. He'll come with the pump, pulls it down. You don't have time for that. You gotta let it go. You gotta pull the trigger. You can't sit there because you're a sitting duck, and they've teed off on him tonight. He took his lumps, and he's taking them well.
Charlie Clements and Angelo Snipes
had a meeting at the quarterback, and the quarterback lost that.
Saskatchewan 22.
Jim Daly said Kemp was tough mentally, tough physically to get up from that. Here's Blaze Bryant breaking it outside, and Bryant near a first down.
Now, you know, you're listening at the verbal confrontation that's going on between the players now. Is that not taunting that we saw a flag with 5 minutes ago thrown on Saskatchewan? That's the same thing.
Saskatchewan Roughriders, 130 yards of offense, 128 yards in penalties. Well, Cal Murphy's team is
just outside the 12-yard line.
About to post its 7th win, go over 500, and move to within 2 points of the Eskimos, who play the tough BC Lions tomorrow. And although the Bombers are still looking ahead at putting some heat on the Eskimos, they have to be wary of the Lions as well, perhaps the most improved team in the CFL.
Well, they have to be wary of the Lions, and they also have to be wary of their offense. Their offense hasn't shown the ability to get the job done. This was the Angelo Snipes show in the first quarter, and he put 2 touchdowns on the scoreboard. And when you can put 2 touchdowns on the board early against Saskatchewan, a team that's shown that their offense is very minimal, you have a big advantage.
Here's that shovel pass to Bryant, and Blaze Bryant will score. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
Blaze Bryant, number 21, with the touchdown.
Well, a big smile from Cal Murphy, and Blaze Bryant has given them reason to smile in this second half.
Well, he has picked up the running game, and this is what they expected when they brought Blaze Bryant back in. He is the 4th tailback to start for Winnipeg this year, and this shovel pass, which is becoming a CFL staple, is run to perfection by Reggie Slack and Blaze Bryant. There's a huge hole in the middle, helped by holding by Brett McNeil on LeBrant Robinson that wasn't called by the officials, but Blaze Bryant took it to the house for 6.
Bryant with his 2nd touchdown of the game and season. Troy Westwood adds the extra point. And now we've got more flags flying.
Well, there's a lot of frustration on the Green Riders defense. You know, there's some calls that haven't gone their way. They've played too long tonight. They're frustrated by the lack of productivity of their offense. And it's tough when you have to play that way defensively.
Hey, I'll give them pretty high.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 57. Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 69.
Well, both guards into the act, Brett McNeil and Bobby Pandelitis.
Well, those two have been going at it all night. I mean, they're 2 very physical players. I mean, this has been one of the more dominant offensive line teams in the CFL over recent years. And now that they're getting their running game rejuvenated, they like to take advantage of it.
Here are the numbers for Blaze Bryant tonight. 47 yards rushing and a touchdown, 92 yards passing and a touchdown, so 139 yards from the line of scrimmage.
And Saskatchewan's going to make them kick off because that's a 30-yard penalty, so they're going to have to kick off from the 10-yard line.
Minute 33 to go. Now, Saskatchewan's going to get the ball in pretty good field position here, but if they do not score again, it will be the 9th time in 11 losses that this team has scored 16 points or less.
Well, it comes down to the quarterbacking position. They started the season with Warren Jones. He didn't get the job done. They relieved him with Heath Rylance. He was knocked out with a concussion. Kevin Mason came in, seemed like they had found their quarterback of the future. They lost him with a knee injury. They given the helm tonight to Jimmy Kemp, who has been reluctant to pull the trigger. This is a team with a lot of offensive woes.
I hope the Bombers don't take another penalty, because not sure if you're allowed to kick it off from your end zone.
Half the distance to the goal.
From the 10-yard line. This is a rarity.
Has the wind at his back, though. Should be get a pretty good kick.
There's Rod Harris at his own 35. And Rod Harris over midfield, down at the Winnipeg 53-yard line, 23 yards on the return. Bobby Evans with the tackle. And now Saskatchewan arguably playing for next week or next year at this point.
I think it's at a point now, Chris, that they're playing for next year. Jimmy Kemp hasn't shown any ability to move the offense tonight. He is a quarterback who gets stuck in a rhythm, who does not know how to get out of his normal cadence call. He wants to hold the ball. He won't release it. He's willing to sit in the pocket and take the hit. You can't win in the CFL doing that.
Next Sunday, they'll play the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and Kemp wrapped up again by John Kroftke.
Quarterback with the ball, Jimmy Kemp.
You know, that's a sack that's going to go against the offensive line, but at some point they have to take that sack and put it on the quarterback's back, because he has to release the ball. You can't sit there and just hold it when they're pinning back the ears. He has an opportunity to release it right here. He tries to step up. John Kroftke collapsed the pocket from his nose position.
2nd and 18. Here they come again. Kemp gets outside this time, and will step out of bounds near the original line of scrimmage. So Saskatchewan will play next week against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Roger Aldag, a former great offensive lineman for Saskatchewan. In the background is Bill Dole, suffering through another tough game for the offense of Saskatchewan. Next game for Winnipeg against the Toronto Argonauts. Here comes Katie Williams, and that ball incomplete, intended for Dan Farthing with a flag down.
But it goes right back to Katie Williams timing up the blitz, because he knows the snap count that Jimmy Kemp is going to go on. They were called for holding. Saskatchewan was.
Holding, Saskatchewan number 64. Penalties decline. First down.
But you might as well write to the defense or just hold up a sign and say this is the snap count, because it's been the same all night long.
We've adjusted the standings. Winnipeg moving 6 points up on BC, within 2 of Edmonton. And the Lions and the Eskimos meeting tomorrow. And of course, we'll have the game from Iberwin Stadium between the Alouettes and the Tiger Cats, with Hall of Famer Danny Kepley in the broadcast booth, along with Don Whitman from Iberwin Stadium.
And these two teams will meet again in 2 weeks in the rubber match in Winnipeg. So it's some bad blood from this game, so it should be an interesting war in 2 weeks.
Ken Austin on the sidelines had a good line yesterday. Somebody asked about playing in the hostile territory of Taylor Field based on his departure from Taylor Field a couple of years ago. He says, I played in front of some hostile crowds in Winnipeg this year.
Yeah, it's been an up and down year for Ken Austin. I mean, he's had times when he looked good, and there's been times when he stunk up the joint.
This has been a year where Austin has started. Slack has finished a lot of games like this one.
carrier, Jean-Pierre, 35.
And the taunting continues.
And there's still not another flag. So I'm still waiting on the flag. We saw a flag early in this same scenario and how they walk away. And that flag that was thrown before really changed the complexity of the game. It was ugly, but it gave Winnipeg that decisive edge to march it in and get that clinching touchdown.
Well, Bobby Pandelitis used to be in the middle of the rivalry between Calgary and Edmonton, and doesn't seem to have missed a step now as he's in the middle, embroiled in the Winnipeg-Saskatchewan battle.
Well, Bobby's an instigator. He's not going to back down, but that's just part of playing football. I mean, this is a game of intensity. This is a game of meanness, and you have to have both of them if you're going to play this game. Otherwise, you have to be a spectator.
You were such a nice guy, though.
Well, I always enjoyed watching, you know. I don't think I ever got a penalty. Not up here in the box.
Well, the jawing continues, but...
No, that's taunting. That's taunting. Let's clarify that. That is, the taunting is continuing.
Nope, no penalty, so I can accurately say it was just jawing.
Just jawing, okay. Clarify that for me. Jawing and taunting.
Well, I can't repeat what you have to say for a taunting penalty.
Well, give me the jawing one.
Cal Murphy was in the middle of it, and Cal just wants it to end at this point. He'd rather talk about next week now as he gets set to get a real test for the Blue Bombers against the Toronto Argonauts. Aaron Ruffin fields this. And down he goes at the 24 with 23 seconds to play. 43-yard punt by Bob Cameron.
And we have one more taunting penalty here, I guess.
That's Leonard Jean-Pierre out of York University. Backup running back.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 17. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg number 35. First down.
So instead of calling it taunting, call it unnecessary roughness. Okay.
And just spot the ball where
it was.
Aaron Ruffin downed it at the 24.
Saskatchewan ball, first and 10 at the 24-yard line.
Jimmy Kemp over the middle. And Donald Narcisse went up and took a lick from Damian Lyons.
This is a situation where Saskatchewan has said that they're going to go with young quarterbacks and they're going to put their future on young quarterbacks. I think once this season is over is that they're going to have to do a real evaluation of the young quarterbacks they have and see which ones they're going to bring back in and which ones they're not. Because what we've seen over the past couple of weeks with the lack of productivity, there are huge, huge question marks.
Kemp scrambling by Hoffwagen and throwing it out of bounds. Well, Jim Daly is telling us that he's going to stay patient with these three, that in effect that they've been rushed into this situation and it's unfair to make any judgments that early. Will it be Heath Rylance ready to go next week?
Well, this is the same type of scenario that Saskatchewan had here in 1987 when they started the season with Jeff Bentram, Tommy Burgess, later brought in Jeff Tedford along with the Ken Hobart, and finally finished off with the Ken Austin. The same type of scenario. There was more promise with that group of young quarterbacks than what we've seen with this group of young quarterbacks. And so, like I said, in the offseason and as the rest of the season wears on, the evaluation process is going to have to take place, and they may have to go out and get a veteran quarterback that can lend some tutorship, some mentoring to the young guys that they're going to keep.
Kind of a fitting play to end it. Another sack on Jimmy Kemp as Cal Murphy's team moves over 500 at 7-6. Winning this one 37-15. Former teammates Dan Farthing and Kent Austin conferring.
You know, the major talk is you look at Slack after he came in and closed in the second half, that they haven't been able to go out and get a guy because they can't afford it. When you look at it, can you not afford to go out and get a quarterback that can guarantee you some victories? That's a point that's going to have to be addressed here in Saskatchewan.
Let's go down to the field and join Scotto.
All right, Chris, here is Angelo Snipes, player of the game, with 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns in the first half. You ever had a game like that?
Never. You know, hey, it's just how it just happened, you know. Just happened to push the ball at one time, and it bounced up in my hand. I got it.
Offense struggles, and the defense holds the fort. That's a storyline you like, I suggest, as long as you win.
That's true. You know, we had to go out there and play sound defense today. We didn't give up the big plays. And, hey, we had a good game.
How big was this win in terms of clinching 3rd place?
Well, hey, we needed it, you know, because, you know, BC is playing well right now. You know, they was in a verge of had to play us again one more time, you know. So, hey, we need that win to get them out of it.
Angelo, thanks for your time. And so the Bombers win here at Taylor Field. We'll return in just a moment.
BF Goodrich TA tires are for driving like no one else. BF Goodrich, show them your true colors.
It's true that the curves of Dodge's most advanced cab-forward sedan have caught the eye of driving enthusiasts around the world. But with the addition of independent double wishbone suspension, speed proportional steering, and an available 24-valve 168 horsepower engine, Dodge Stratus drivers have other curves in mind. Dodge Stratus, the latest expression of cab-forward thinking.
This September, AGT thanks our customers by bringing back our overseas long-distance sale. We're giving you special prices to special places. You'll enjoy our lowest price of the day all day Saturday. And if you're on the AGT Real Plus Savings Plan, you'll save even more. You save no matter how long you talk. So call your family and friends overseas every Saturday in September and save.
Pronto, ciao, mamma. Ciao, Marco.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by AGT, the best long distance, period.
Here at Taylor Field, the Bombers beat the odds and suggest they usually lose here. They have their 4th win in their last 9 visits to Regina, 37-15 the final. Factor in this win was Angelo Snipes with 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns. The first one gave the Bombers a 7-0 lead, and the second one, this one, 37-yard fumble recovery run back to make it 17-0. Tomorrow on the CFL on CBC, it's the Hall of Fame game. The Alouettes in Hamilton to face the Cats. Football telecast will be followed by the Canadian International live from Woodbine. Next Saturday, we're at Skydome, where the Argos, after a week off, will be ready for the Bombers. And here the Bombers celebrate a 37-15 victory. Thanks for watching and good night.
CBC Sports.